It's two things we can do. We can linger on this loss, or we can try to improve and get better as a football team. And I bet on my guys any day of the week. So we're going to get better from this. We're going to learn from it. And we're going to grow. What y'all saw tonight, that's okay. We're going to improve. We're going to improve. We're going to get better, and we're going to attack the day, the next day we have.
Okay, that was not EG's voice, a little deeper than I was expecting. Different sound, but he got asked that a couple of times.
I see her hand, though.
Yeah, I see her hand. Yeah, she was there. We heard her microphone.
Yeah.
The problem is here, I'm sure he's going to look like a world beater against South Florida. They're awful. And that'll get his confidence back, but, I mean, now you're right back in the frying pan with the SEC schedule that's about to start with Ole Miss and Mississippi State and all those teams that are on the horizon. They're not great teams. But if he plays like he did against Texas, all those are losable games for Alabama. So, I mean, what do you do if you're Tommy Rees and Nick Saban this week? What do you do? I mean, do you try to get a good look at other guys, or do you try to get Jalen Milroe some confidence? Which one do you try to do? Because I'm not certain you can do both.
I think I'm just pushing ahead with Jalen Milroe.
I think you have to now.
Not me.
What do you do? So
I don't know who number 2 is.
Well,
here's what I saw. I saw some open receivers. So I don't think it was a scheme, right? Like the wheel route that he just overthrew going down the sideline. Who was that? Was that Jace that broke out on the wheel route down the side, and he barely just missed it? If he catches it, he's going to take it to the house. I thought there were some open receivers, and I just want somebody that's not going to turn the ball over. I need somebody that's not going to turn the ball over.
I don't know if you got that guy, though. I mean, Tyler Buckner turned it over last year in his limited time he played at Notre Dame.
A pick six against Marshall was probably the last play I remember him playing.
So let me ask you this. Let's play
the bowl game.
Let's play the what-if game. Let's say you do
Once divided, there's nothing left to subtract. Some words once spoken, they can't be taken back. Walks on his own, with thoughts he can't help thinking. Futures apart, but in the past he's slow and sinking. Got a bolt of lightning, curse the day, let it go. Nothing matters. It's something, nothing. She was believed in every story he had to tell. One day she stiffened, so the other side, empty space for each corner of a shared prison cell. One just escaped, one's left inside the well. And he who forgets will be destined to remember.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Texas and Alabama ended up being the most watched game on ESPN since 2015. And that happened this weekend. $8.8 million, 8.8 million viewers, peaking at 10.7 in that contest. Always good when you get a major upset in college football in prime time for ESPN. We'll talk more about that game in the aftermath. Coming up, some big recruiting news. But as we get rolling today, our Dobel Diamante reaction of the morning coming from the best tequila out there, Maestro Dobel Diamante. It is aged in those European barrels. It's crystal clear. It's perfect. Ask for it by name, Maestro Dobel Diamante tequila. It was not a smooth night for the Jets last night, though, as Aaron Rodgers goes down with 0 fantasy points for fantasy owners. And for Jets fans, they get the win, but what a somber moment as they're looking at trying to maybe acquire Colt McCoy or Jameson Winston or somebody like that to quarterback them the rest of the season. Boy, that game went flat just like that. The atmosphere was juiced with everything going on. And when Rodgers ran out with that American flag, I thought this guy is doing a great American makeover. It's going to be a fantastic year. And then, boom, the Achilles pops.
Yeah, so sad. And, you know, I was still in the car coming back from our Bud Light game night.
Me too.
Monday nights. And I was listening to the call, and you heard the, oh, no. Aaron Rodgers' hands are on his knees. But it still didn't sound that bad. And then once he was getting helped off by two of the managers, that's when you knew it was pretty bad. And then the speculation immediately became ACL. We're watching it right now, and you can kind of see that back calf when it kind of stuck there, that it looked like an ACL. And now you wonder, you hate it for Jets fans, you hate it for Aaron Rodgers, you hate it for just, you know, sports fans in general. But we will be sitting here thinking what could have been with this Jets team, because that defense is lights out.
Yeah,
you keep going ACL. It's not
Achilles.
It's
Yeah.
Achilles,
Achilles,
not an ACL.
Achilles.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. My dad, knowing that I'm a Dolphins fan, and he pulls for the Dolphins too, texted me and said, as the game was starting, is there any way both these teams could lose? And we laughed it off, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think there was a way both teams could lose, but when Aaron Rodgers was getting carted off, I texted my dad back, and I said, you asked me if there's a way both teams could lose. If the Jets win this game, both teams have now lost.
Yeah, what a gutsy effort from the Jets the rest of the way, playing with one hand tied behind their back. And instantly, you start looking at Josh Allen on the other side and just how horrible the Bills were last night against that great Jets defense. 4 turnovers from them, and they just did dumb stuff, it felt like, the rest of the game. Gutsy overtime win for the Jets. Jubilation in one night. But how sustainable is it with this roster without Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know. I mean, Breece Hall was incredible last night. And, you know, this is a guy that was coming off season-ending injury last year. They didn't know if he'd be 100% for the opener. He looked more than 100%. He looked like, you know, arguably the best player on the field last night. I mean, Dalvin Cook's going to be a nice change of pace there. You saw Garrett Wilson, the hand-eye coordination of Garrett Wilson, and that catch in the end zone was pretty incredible. Alan Lazard looked like he was open most of the night. I mean, you've still got a lot of weapons. It's just Zach Wilson plays most nights like Josh Allen played last night.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. He's very reckless. By the way, Josh Allen, not only if quarterbacks weren't making $50 million a year, if this was the old days, $100,000, $200,000 a year, I would have thought he was on the take. He was that bad last night.
Just throwing it up for grabs.
He was.
A couple times, yeah.
And running with reckless abandonment. And I don't care how big he is. You can't last an entire season taking the hits he took last night.
Yeah, and that was my big takeaway. Look, the Jets are dying. I mean, it's silly to focus on them anymore. The focus is on Aaron Rodgers' recovery now, but they're dying. My takeaway was, if I'm a Bills fan, I'm like, how did we lose that game? Zach Wilson plays almost 4 full quarters, and we have to go to overtime, and we lose. Even with 4 turnovers, they almost beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you lose that game if you're the Bills? If I'm a Bills fan today, I am like, man, you know, at the end of the year, one win could be a massive difference. It could be the difference between home field throughout the playoffs, which didn't matter for them last year. It could be the difference between winning your division and having to play a wild card game. I mean, it could be that one win could come back to haunt, or that one loss could go back to haunt them. And there is zero chance the Bills ought to be losing that game.
What is amazing is, I haven't checked the stats, but is there a chance Jordan Whitehead led the Bills in receiving last night? 3 interceptions last night. He's a DB for the Jets, and he seemed like to catch more balls than anybody for them. They win the game, the Jets do, with defense and special teams. That probably was going to be a great calling card for them this year. Their Super Bowl odds goes from 16-1 going into the game to anywhere, depending on where you're shopping, at 35-1 to 65-1. They were a 3-point, opened up 3-point dog against the Cowboys already before the game started for week 2. Look ahead, that game's off the board right now. They're waiting to see, the injury report and such like that. So that's some of the MyBookie lines that are moving around, mybookie.ag there. But there's no way you go bet a ticket now for the Jets to win the Super Bowl without Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's nothing official, but even the coach said last night it's not good. I've never seen an Achilles injury like that other than Kobe Bryant and a couple others. Usually they're writhing in pain down on the ground. He was very calm about it. Friends I know that who have had that injury said for a moment it feels like you were shot in the back of the leg.
Yeah, I've heard that one of my buddies had it and it rolled all the way up.
Yeah,
so it was hard to describe.
There's that one video. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but, his foot is flat. I can't even do it with my arm, but the way it's bent, and you can see
it pop.
You could see it go up his leg.
And you just wonder, he's put
like
a lot
of snake in his sock.
Yeah,
this
really
is one of the best PR makeovers I've ever seen for anyone. And you wonder how much he put into this. Is it? He's 39 years old.
Yeah, that's a lot of rehab, isn't it?
Boy, if I had that kind of money, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to tap out.
Yeah, but God, there's no way a competitive guy like him wants that to be his last moment in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I thought he handled it. I thought he handled the look of it all like he was, if this was my last moment, I'm not going to be rolling around in pain on the field.
Yeah.
He just calmly sat there and graciously went off, waved at some fans, graciously walked into the x-ray room. I was on the Manning cast when I got home because I was like, why am I going to watch the Sirius cast now without Aaron Rodgers in it? So I was on the Manning cast, and both of them were still stunned throughout the whole evening, being two quarterbacks that played the game at that level. And just to, all the hype going in on Aaron Rodgers, they were just floored. And I assume the other broadcast was that way. The stadium was that way. It's sad, and the discussion becomes very quickly. If you follow us on social media, I had Aaron Rodgers as my fantasy quarterback.
No, the best is you changed your team name.
I changed
yesterday.
my team name to Notorious AR8.
Wow, that's incredible.
Notorious AR8, Aaron Rodgers 8, and with the Jets. A fighter jet as my logo.
Dunaway was all that, wasn't he, Lance?
Yeah. 0 points total.
Yeah, it's 4 plays don't normally get you much.
Yeah, and I almost said it on the air.
Did you lose your game?
Oh yeah, I almost said it on the air yesterday. I did not, and I was playing Brown, and without Aaron Rodgers playing, I was up 4. All he had was the Jets' defense and special teams. By the way, good night for them.
It turned out that was a pretty good play.
And then I had the kicker and the quarterback for the Jets, and it was going to be the easiest win ever. The win probability they give you at the top was 92%.
And you lost.
And I lost.
Oh,
yeah, only way you could have lost.
That's pretty amazing. Let me say this. So Joe Douglas has done a really good job as the Jets general manager, assembling a lot of talent and getting a lot of these guys through the draft. Last year's draft was unbelievable. If I'm Joe Douglas, if I'm the Jets, I stay with Zach Wilson. I don't go out and get one of these veterans.
Well, he was pretty bad, Lance.
He was, but you can't.
He's the reason you had Aaron Rodgers there.
But there's a reason that Colt McCoy and Jameis Winston and Carson Wentz, those guys aren't in the league right now.
I know. No, there are no good options.
Well, great Photoshop going around is Tom Brady, who still looked like he was in good shape. Looks a little skinny shape to me. Doesn't look as muscular as he has past. Matt Ryan, who called my Buccaneers game this weekend,
he's in the booth.
Was in the booth, did a really good job as an analyst, but he has said going into the season that he was going to stay in shape in case there was an injury.
So much so that they put him in a 3-man booth.
That's right.
You don't see 3-man booths in football anymore. And they put him in one knowing that if somebody called, he's already said he'll answer.
Yeah, with Tiki Barber, I believe is.
I
or
can't
is it
even remember
Rondé?
who it
It's
is.
Rondé or Tiki. It's one of the.
But he's in a
Barbers.
3-man booth, and it's for that specific reason. Phillip Rivers, I don't know if too much time has passed.
Yeah.
But Phillip Rivers has said, is that Matt Ryan in a Jets uniform?
No, that is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady in a Jets
The
uniform?
only problem with that is that jersey's retired.
You don't think Joe Willie would let Tom Brady have it?
Probably would.
Yeah.
I just,
Well, that's actually a pretty good look.
I would stay the course. I really would. Look, and I know they were a disaster offensively last year, but if you get all your other weapons that are healthy, if Breece Hall can stay healthy, Zach Wilson's going to be a better quarterback just being around Aaron Rodgers.
I would not. If I was them, I would go all in on getting.
I wouldn't get one of these guys that's out of the league now.
You wouldn't go Matt Ryan.
I wouldn't. I'd go Matt Stafford. Like, I hope it doesn't happen. But,
Yeah.
the
The
news
trade?
this morning was there were big talks with the Rams, and Matt Stafford, there's a belief that he didn't want to go to New York.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that changes.
So you
all
mean
of a sudden.
since the injury last
No,
night?
no.
Okay.
This was before they signed Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Before Aaron Rodgers.
But there is a belief that they might take another run at Matt Stafford.
Well, you could probably get a king's ransom for him right now because that's the only missing piece now.
Yeah.
I mean, they had built a team that could go to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
Where's the best QB2 situation in the NFL?
I have to think on that for a second.
Like who's behind? It's obviously not Tampa. It's not Miami.
No,
I guess
it's Skylar Thompson.
I guess the first thing we have to ask is where is Teddy Bridgewater? That seems to always be the key where
Yeah.
we go to. Where is Teddy Bridgewater? He's in the league somewhere, I think.
I think Gardner Minshew's probably a pretty good option.
In Indianapolis,
Yeah.
backing up Richardson. Who do they have in Carolina? Just in case it's going to be Bryce.
That might be Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe
Let me see where TD Teddy is right now.
Yeah, you have Malik Willis, Will Levis
you don't want that.
in Tennessee. The Cowboys, they brought in somebody, a veteran, right?
Well, they brought in Trey Lance. They traded
Andy
for-
Dalton's year 2 in Carolina.
Yeah. I'd almost go Trey Lance.
Well, they just traded for him, though.
They did, but
You
don't.
think-
They traded a 4th round for him. You don't think if the Jets went calling with a 3rd round or 2nd round pick, they would give Trey Lance up?
I think you're better option Zach Wilson than Trey Lance.
Oh, you know where Teddy Bridgewater is? Rockstar, are you willing to unload Teddy Bridgewater for the health of the league?
Both him and both gloves. Yeah, I think I'd be it.
Two-glove Teddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Detroit Football Lions is where you find Teddy Bridgewater.
Thank you, Karen,
Garrett
for jumping
Wilson.
in with that. Thomas, all those folks. D-Man Hoover, Vulcan Tire and Automotive Chat Room. AJ McCarron, this is your time.
Yeah, right.
Garrett Wilson said at halftime that Zach Wilson was the guy that really rallied them and was the motivational force to push this thing forward. Look, I know he's not a great quarterback, but he's still only 23 years old.
Yeah.
And
Former first round pick, right?
number 3 overall. The guy's got great wheels. When he does complete passes, he's got a lot of zip on it. He's just got to get some confidence and stop making bad reads. Made one awful read last night. I don't know if that can change overnight. But this could be a rallying point. Look, I'll never forget the first ever Rams Super Bowl. Trent Green was completely torching the preseason. And he goes down on the last preseason night. Rodney Harrison hit him low. He's done for the season. And a guy that I'd never known anything about, Kurt Warner, comes out and plays.
Yeah.
There's no expectation.
Hall of Famer now.
The Rams go 13-3. They win a Super Bowl.
That's right.
So I'm just saying, with that defense, we've seen, sorry, UAB fans, we've seen Trent Dilfer win a Super Bowl with a great defense. The AFC is starting to drop like flies. You already look at J.K. Dobbins is gone. Now Aaron Rodgers. This could be one of those weird seasons in the NFL where a defense can carry someone. We'll see.
Yeah, one more thought.
Joe Burrow looked bad. Josh Allen looked bad.
One more thought on those 2 big injuries right after you tell us about our friends at Odie's.
Yeah, Odie's Tavern. Tomorrow night we'll be out there for Odie's Team Trivia every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Get there a little early. Enjoy some of that great food from Rodney Davis. Not only the Crestline location that we're at every Wednesday night, now the new Homewood location right there off of Broadway on Oxmoor Road. Get in, see Will Haver and that great staff. 2 locations now of Odie's, Crestline and Homewood.
There were some former players talking about the turf, whether his cleat catches in the turf, which also could pop a knee or an Achilles in this situation. J.K. Dobbins' injury, that was a home game for Baltimore, right? That's a turf field right there. There are players who think that playing on grass is safer. It's a dangerous game. There's a lot of field turfs in the league. What makes that all look bad and this didn't come out. I didn't know this. You guys may all know it. I didn't know this until last night. What makes all this look bad? What's coming up in a couple of years in the U.S.? The World Cup.
Okay.
Guess what they're doing in every NFL stadium that is hosting the World Cup? They're ripping up the field turf and putting down natural grass in every one of those. And then I assume the plan is to put the turf back in. I don't know why they choose turf if you cannot have it, but as several of the players, some retired, some currently, saying, you care about soccer players more than you do us. We work for you guys, and you're going to rip up the turf that is causing injuries to us to put down because the World Organization for Soccer refuses to play the World Cup on turf.
Well, this is
natural grass.
Easy solution. If you're the Players Association, get together and say, hey, we ain't playing on this.
Yeah, we're not playing on it
But
again.
the problem is the dome stadium, so you got to.
Well, but the one dome stadium's got grass, and it's the worst surface in the NFL.
Yeah, that's
right.
So I don't
In
know.
Arizona,
I don't know what you do with it.
What do you do when you got a dome stadium?
I know,
and
like
you can't get sunshine?
Atlanta. Yeah, like Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's never going to try the real grass thing. They're artificial turf, and they're always going to be. So what do you do there?
They can get some mirrors and reflect that sunshine through that little hole and try to get it. But it's injuries happen on natural grass too.
They do. But a lot of players say that this is worse for these type of injuries.
It's about getting the cleat, your foot sort of caught. You know what I mean?
no give.
The grip is too good. Like on a natural surface, you'll see that sod slips out and that sod pops up. Anyway, that's for a
Man,
different debate.
I personally don't know any Jets fans. I guess I know one. But, man, my heart goes out to him because your season is pretty much over.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
You know we need notorious AR8 fans?
No, I don't. You.
Thought it was the fastest growing gear in the league last night. T-shirt sales were bouncing last evening pregame. Our friends at the Pan Store gets you into the college football week 3 coming up. Alabama and Auburn game day polos, hats, and quarter zips right there at the Pan Store. And choose from famous name brands like Gentile, Cutter and Buck, Antigua, Elephant Head, and Taylor and Mick for the great golf shirts, the great polos that are famous right there. And ladies, look no further for your game day needs than the skirts, the rompers, the clear bags, and the booties, all right there at the Pants Store. You can find them wherever you're watching us in the country, pantstore.com, or any of their 6 locations in person in Auburn, Crestline, Hoover, Huntsville, Leeds, and Tuscaloosa, pantstore.com. To college football here in our opening segment, Clay Travis is with us at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock Central, starting hour 2. The Brown Bandit, I think's in the house. It's either the
won last week.
Either the Brown Bandit's in the house or the Eras Tour is playing a show here coming up at 10:25 today. Taylor Swift. It looks like Taylor Swift trucks are outside.
Was there a sound check early?
For a little production going on at 10:25. Tyler Booker, Alabama offensive lineman, is with us at 11 a.m. starting the third and final hour of the show. That coming up a little bit later on. But back to Matt Rhule and Shedeur Sanders and all of that went on post-game, pre-game, post-game, and all of that. Matt Rhule at the microphone yesterday explaining what went on the logo pre-game, to which Shedeur Sanders was upset about. Cut 5, Rockstar, in our Hydro Live sound of the day. This is the Nebraska head coach, Matt Rhule.
Aware that, speaking of stadiums, that Colorado, some players, they took some offense to you guys going out to the middle of the field before the game on Saturday. Any thoughts from you, or is it something you guys did in Minnesota, something you typically do at the start of the
We do it
game?
every stadium. We go there, we pray for blessings. When they came in, I asked them if they wanted to, I asked Shedeur if he wanted to pray with us. I mean, I pray over every, I'm a public official, but I can have my own faith. And I say pray, we take a moment of team, it's non-denominational. We have Muslim guys, we have non-believers. We just take a moment as a team and I want that field to be safe for everybody. At the end of the game, no one's going to tell me who I am. At the end of that game, they told me, hey, we're going to run right off the field, and they're going to storm the field. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care if I get beaten up by a mob. I'm running across that field, and I'm shaking Coach Sanders' hand. So no, people can say, when you're losing, people are going to say all kinds of things about you. I know exactly who I am. And I'm coaching this team with class, and I'm not changing. And I went over there and I shook that man's hand. I whispered in his ear, and I've never disrespected an opponent a day in my life and never will.
Never disrespected an opponent a day in his life. They do this at every stadium, according to people that cover Nebraska and Matt Rhule over the years. They gather at midfield, and they have sort of a moment of faith, a moment of silence. Some players pray, some just close their eyes.
It's amazing you've got to explain that in today's world.
Had to backtrack
I mean,
so
my
quick.
gosh. Well, hey, look,
there's video out there of, or pictures out there of Matt Rhule talking to Shedeur and the Colorado players that were on the field, asking if they want to join them. According to Matt Rhule, that's what he was doing. Shedeur, do you guys want to join us in this, little prayer here pregame? And so that's Matt Rhule's side of the story.
But
just wanted to play both sides. We played Shedeur
but even
yesterday.
Deion said after the fact, I really don't know what Shedeur was talking about.
Yeah.
So this is a bad look. And here's the thing with Colorado. They're a great story. They're a fun watch. They've got to focus more on themselves.
Yeah, every win is a payback for something
Yeah, and it
so far.
doesn't need to be like that, man. Enjoy the moment.
I don't know what Colorado State's going to do to them. It's a rivalry game. Maybe you don't have to get up for this one.
I don't know. Colorado State's going to lose to them. I do know that. That is the ultimate clapback, though. Oh, no, we were praying. I mean, that's like, what are you going to say to that? Oh, okay, all right, they're praying.
And we invited you to join us. That's,
I will say, and I almost brought this up yesterday, that Matt Rhule, because if you weren't watching the end of the game, I don't blame you for not sticking around. That game got out of hand. Deion was concerned about fans rushing the field, and Colorado had tried to take steps to protect Deion because he's got 2 amputated toes, and if his foot gets stepped on, it could be a bad deal. To the point that he was like, if they're going to rush the field, I'm just going to have to go into the locker room. With time left on the clock, Matt Rhule went across the field to make sure he shook his hand. Like, the game was still going. They had to stop the game. Matt Rhule goes and shakes his hand, comes back. They take the final step, snap, kneel down, and then Deion goes off the field. I almost brought that up yesterday, but Matt Rhule mentioned it.
They need to get one of those emperor thrones for Deion.
Just carry him off the field every
so the
time.
players, gold-plated, pick him up. He'd probably dig that.
Let Prime hear it.
Hydro Live brought you that sound from Matt Rhule there. We'll get into everything else going on, including our 4 downs coming up this hour. Before we get to Clay, tell us about Hydro Live.
Hey, you saw Nurse Lacey in studio with us last week. If you can't make it to one of the great locations at Hydro Live, they can actually come to you. Home or business, IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy. It's all under one roof. All locations open 7 days a week. The newest in Hoover, one in Homewood, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mention Next Round at checkout. That's very important. Mention Next Round at checkout. 20% off any of the services. For more information, hydrolivetherapy.com.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Super Speedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 and the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with walk-ons.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
NASCAR racing returning to Talladega coming up in just a few weeks. September 30th for the truck race in the playoffs. That night, Hardy is in concert. And then on October 1st, the Cup Series playoff race, the Yellowwood 500, as we chase the championship cup again. All that one ticket, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. The world's fastest speedway. Never have to brake at this place. They've had Indy cars go 220-ish out there until, they couldn't go any faster. They've had NASCAR cars go 212 out there before. They'll be door handle to door handle. It is the world's most exciting track, the Talladega Superspeedway, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. All right, before we get to four downs, one other note on the television ratings from Alabama and Texas, 10.7 million, 8.8 million, that's on ESPN. That did include the McAfee simulcast on ESPN2, which at one point, I'm sure all of you have seen the video of Matthew McConaughey, who was live with McAfee right in the end zone before Xavier Worthy caught that first touchdown pass, the air mail.
I didn't even know that McAfee had a
simulcast going on right there on ESPN2, so they were on the field like they do for the national championship game some, so they did that with the McAfee on that. So it worked those two numbers in there.
But it also excluded 14 million Spectrum customers.
That's
so
right.
You wonder if you had 14 million more people able to see that game, how much bigger the number would have been.
Where could it have gone? And do they add some streaming to this number later on?
So.
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people were picking up YouTube and other things over the weekend here locally to be able to watch that game. Have you seen a Colorado number yet?
I have not, but I could.
No, not television. I've seen the other number.
Point spreads.
Put your Lance's lock back in the
By the way, Jets
there.
last night still gutted it out. Even with that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
I know.
Yeah. So the Jets win the lock last night. Lance'sLock.com for all your plays. We'll get a Colorado number. It'll be interesting to see how that did. Was the second most watched game last week. A chance that it could be right up there battling for the most watched game again. And they get Colorado State, 9 o'clock ESPN, late prime time coming up this week. All right, let's do our four downs. Little NFL, little celebrity birthday, little college football in our four downs, brought to you, LT, by our friends at Slice.
Hey, local pizza, local ingredients, 4 great locations. Don't forget about that carry-out special. You get 12 fire-baked wings, 2 of the specialty pizzas, half pan of the salad, only $75. That's 7 days a week. For more information, get into one of those 4 locations or online, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Better chance of an upset in the SEC this week. We'll do our upset alert, by the way, coming up in 1 hour. Our upset picks. But just winning the game outright, forget the points. BYU at Arkansas, Rocket Sanders not playing again. Or Florida at home against Tennessee. Outright win. Better place for an upset.
Well, Tennessee can't win in Florida for whatever reason. They haven't won in Gainesville since 2003. I think they've lost 9 consecutive games down there. And I don't know how good Tennessee is. On the other side, I've watched BYU. BYU's offense with Keaton Slovis is not good this year. Their defense is going to be pretty good. I will go the Florida Gators.
I don't have any faith in BYU. I watched them against Sam Houston State, and didn't they win that game 14-0? It was 7-0 late into the second half. Yeah. Because I remember we were doing the post-game show, and I brought it up. I'm like, man, BYU, what is going on here? They played Southern Utah there, completely untested, going to
But they were down 7-0 Southern Utah going into the second quarter.
Yeah, so I don't think this is a very good BYU team. So I would say Florida.
Quick timeout of the four downs. I don't want Reed. Don't look at your phone yet, Brown.
All right.
I don't want Reed to ruin the surprise, quick timeout on 4 downs. The sneaker I sent you earlier, Forrester, I want the live reaction. Tight shot on Brown. Get ready for the tight shot on Brown. Wish we could double box. This is coming in 2024.
All right.
The Nike Dunks, Miami Dolphins. You don't like it?
I don't.
Oh, that's a great-looking shoe.
That's a terrible-looking shoe.
It's a good game day shoe for you.
Yeah.
What would I wear with the Nike Dunks?
Anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen your wardrobe.
Listen,
anything.
No, you could wear. I'm just talking about for game day. You
Yeah.
could specifically. I mean, those are good game day shoes.
Yeah, they look fantastic. Great color combo.
I am well aware we have got an awful color scheme.
I don't think
for
so.
clothing. I do for clothing.
No.
You try buying clothes that look okay in that color scheme. I love my Dolphins. I love the proper uniform that we never wear.
That's not teal, by the way.
But it's aqua.
Yeah.
But if you notice,
Aqua's a tough color to pull off.
It is.
Unless you're at the beach.
Most of the Dolphins gear I wear has a base color of gray.
Yeah.
If you'll notice, I try to buy all the gray stuff with the logo on it.
Yeah, I'm just telling you that would rock the floor of Bama when we're down there.
Yeah.
If we're having a nice little
I don't know.
sunset deal there at Coastal.
Depending on where you are, you might get drugged behind a car with those.
Everybody, I hate
could you see Jennifer in those? Whoa!
now you're
time
talking.
out.
Now you're
Hold
talking. They
on.
come in lady sizes.
Oh yes.
I don't know what size shoe my wife wears. I got a
7.5. All right.
By the way, that was a weird.
It's pretty good.
Second down.
Pretty good guess, though. I think 7.5, 8 is about the norm size.
Thank you. That's why I went that way. It's back to the second down. I'm doing this. Hold on. Most impressive first week in the NFL. Which team and/or player most impressive to you in week one?
Say it.
Well, I mean, look, your Dolphins. The offense was great, but there's things that you got to work on defensively.
Defense needed some help.
I would just go the complete game with the Cowboys. I mean, when you went 40-0 on the road, a divisional game. I mean, to me, that was on that field in 24 hours. You had a 40-0 home team lose, and you had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time blow a knee, and then you've got an Achilles, and then you've got the comeback and the overtime punt return. I mean, just craziness on that field. But I would go Cowboys.
Boy, if it comes out today, it's a knee injury. And that was his ACL coming completely off, first time in human history, and falling down his calf.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Then I'm going to call you Dr. Lance.
Dr.
from now on.
LT.
Yes.
I think most impressive player was Tua. Most impressive team. Lance is probably right, though. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good. When you can win on an opposing field in the NFL 40-0,
yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
you don't see that one happen very
Nick,
often.
his 49ers were really good.
Very good.
Yeah,
Dominated Pittsburgh.
Listen, I can't argue with Dallas. But if Pittsburgh is really a playoff team, I don't think the Giants were going in. If Pittsburgh is a playoff team, what San Francisco did to Pittsburgh was impressive to me, too. And Brock Purdy being back, no rust, limited in the offseason. McCaffrey is healthy. By the way, if you're following the landmine at home, Christian McCaffrey also on my team. So Aaron Rodgers already down.
He's got an injury history, too.
So the 49ers probably want to bubble wrap Christian McCaffrey this weekend, maybe not play him the rest of the year until the playoffs.
I'd love if he took this week off.
Yeah, so that's my call. The 49ers, I agree with you, Josh.
Veterans
right
rest is what I'll tell you all.
Third down.
Let's take the Giants off the board. The most disappointing week one in week one performance in the NFL, team and/or player.
Oh, the Bears were disappointing for me because, I didn't know what to see or what we were going to see in that division because Minnesota was kind of a house of cards last year. We expected Detroit to be a little bit better the way they played in the second half of the season, but, this was all Justin Fields, and this was going to be a really good Bears defense. And the Bears defense was awful. Justin Fields was not good, and they got embarrassed to a division opponent at home.
I'll go Pittsburgh. Lance, the Bears are a very good call. The Giants, obviously, but I'll go Pittsburgh. They did not get a first down until they were running the 2-minute at the end of the half. You know how hard that is to do in the NFL?
Yes.
With quality players? I mean, they got pretty good receivers, don't they? I mean, they got Freiermuth at tight end. George Pickens is a good receiver. They got Najee Harris, and they could not get a first down.
Yeah, it was going to be because they jinxed it on the broadcast.
I know. They brought it up, didn't they? Yep.
Yeah, and it was going to be the first time, and this is not surprising, in Mike Tomlin's career that he goes a half without a first down.
Yeah, and then boom, they get the first down. And the crowd did the old Bronx cheer, I guess is what we still call it.
Rusty, I will get Taylor. In fact, Taylor will probably do it anyway. She's in the chat watching you guys all the time. But Rusty and several other people, Taylor would like a complete snapshot of who's on my fantasy team.
T.J. Watt, or J.J. Watt, whatever the hell.
I will
his
go
name
ahead and
is.
tell you, Forrester's already texted me last night. Can you please drop my Falcons defense before they all catch botulism or something in a
Entire
team deal?
defense room.
Right before kick, I dropped the Dolphins and played the Falcons, which was a great call by me. So that was
Thank
really
God.
good.
I didn't know you had the Dolphins.
Yeah. For me, it was Josh Allen last night. I mean, 4 interceptions, and you should have beat the brakes off that team last night. Let's do 4th down.
4th down.
On the back end of this celebrity birthday, keep in mind, if his ass was in shape, would be a great option at this age for the New York Jets. Happy birthday. Is there a fan on the table of Kelsey Ballerini, who's 30?
I like her music.
I've never heard her music, but she's a good.
Lance is a fan, yes.
Yeah.
She's rolled around the floor of Bama before.
Lance could not name a single song.
I could not.
I just know at one point, she
and how old is
pauses.
she?
30 today.
Okay, yeah.
30 today. She paused. She pauses at moment of the song about her breakup, and then she sings, "I kissed someone new last night." She gets really excited, and the crowd gets really excited. I saw that on my TikTok all summer long about 1,000 times a day. So she has one big song where it comes to a complete stop, and she's down on her knees looking sad about her divorce, and then she goes, "I kissed someone new last night," and then everybody goes crazy, and she bounces up and starts dancing.
Violent.
I think that's a complete 100% reenactment. Kelsey Ballerini, 30, or 34-year-old Andrew Luck, who had a better career.
Oh, Andrew Luck.
Yeah, Luck right now.
I mean,
Kelsey's still playing.
Yeah, Kelsey's still got a lot left, and Luck's probably not going to do anything except
VMAs tonight.
Okay.
Is it the VMAs?
They're every night.
Yes.
The VMAs?
Yeah.
VMAs tonight.
Are we watching at your house, Rocky?
Well, just wait for what I'm viewing menu. You'll see.
Yeah.
But, Andrew Luck had an opportunity to be one of the all-time greats. I thought he was that talented. He was, on a course to be a Hall of Famer. We forget he was in an AFC Championship game. Andrew Luck was a great quarterback, but Ballerini does have a lot left.
Yeah, but
I agree with you. This point right now, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's Luck, yeah.
If he was in shape, I mean, the Colts would need something. They're like, nobody should be calling Andrew Luck. We still have the rights to him, no matter until the end of time. We have the rights to him if he ever
Dude,
comes
he
back.
could look like Brendan Fraser in The Whale, though, for all I know. I haven't seen Andrew Luck.
But would he be better than Zach Wilson if he was
I don't
Brendan
know.
Fraser in the well?
Would he throw into that coverage that Zach Wilson threw into
Brendan
last
Fraser
night?
could see safeties, I think.
I have become a Jets fan, no offense, Brown, in the AFC because...
it doesn't worry me at all.
I
The
know.
Jets are the last thing I'm worried about in the AFC East.
Boy, I want him to rally around this kid.
It would be fantastic. There was a point after that one interception last night, the really bad one, that
Troy Aikman just basically said,
Well,
yeah.
Well, I mean, he was right, though.
He was right.
He goes, you can't make much worse of a read than the NFL.
When he made that one, I started thinking to myself, like, Pain Pill and the lineman, who was the kid in the Mobile Bowl that year? Was it Teddy
Byron
Bridgewater?
Leftwich.
Byron Leftwich,
yeah.
I mean, just to have two guys, the two guards assigned to picking up Aaron Rodgers and carrying him to the shotgun every play and having him just 1 foot throw, is that better than Zach Wilson?
By the way, after trash, Dunaway had one of the most genius football ideas I've ever heard over the weekend.
Ooh.
After
Interested to
trash.
hear that.
No, not after trash, after 4 downs. Let's wrap 4 downs because you just reminded me of it.
That is 4 downs today, brought to you by our friends at Slice. You're giving me a thumbs up, Forrester, for my fantasy team.
Oh, here it is.
This
What
is
we
my
got?
team. Aaron Rodgers out. Christian McCaffrey day-to-day, but aren't we all?
Banged up all the time.
Madison for the Vikings. Olave from the Saints. Sorry, Saints fans. DJ Moore probably hurt already in Chicago. His feelings were hurt. George Kittle's questionable. P. Ryan. Falcons defense.
Everyone at Dunaway starter says that red newspaper thing.
And
right
boy,
next
I
to
hate
it.
this for Jared Goff because he's next man
I know,
up.
sorry, Rocky. Season over.
It's going to happen.
Jared Goff
Clock's
is my
ticking.
quarterback. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Probably wish he stayed now at Ohio State. Lazard, who's old. Taj Boyd.
Michael in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room says it was Dunaway's fantasy team playing in Heinz Field in the Dark Knight.
The world is crumbling upon you.
When Kane blew up Dark Knight.
They kept playing, though.
Our friends at Way to Wellness, before Brown tells you how smart I am, I was smart a few years ago to go to Way to Wellness. They changed my life, saved me. Blood pressure, cholesterol off the charts. Not anymore, thanks to a eating plan from Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Leslie and her board-certified team will design a plan specifically for you. No cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed for you. The program's overseen by board-certified professionals, and there are no contracts, no sign-up fees, and you get a free consultation. You just go to this website, planforme.com, planforme.com. Hey, tell them you heard Jim talking about it and how, my goodness, how can you save Jim's life, save mine too. Planforme.com. It's way to wellness, your journey to healthy living. What was my great idea?
So Dunaway was watching Scott's Falcons slop around and beat the Panthers, and he noticed that Carolina had a 4th and short. And a lot of teams now, Lance, you've seen this watching the NFL, do the Eagles play where basically you just line 15 guys up right behind the center and plow forward for the first, right? And Dunaway said, called, and I called Dunaway because of Sunday Ticket. I was seeing if he got Sunday Ticket.
I would say that we're going to walk here very close to politically incorrect, but go ahead. I'm okay with it.
Our show lives there.
Yeah.
And Dunaway's like, hey, did you notice the Panthers had that 4th and short, and Bryce Young is so small they can't run that Eagles play. They had him in the shotgun and handed it off on 4th and short. And Dunaway said, I mean, really, Brown, he's the smallest quarterback in the NFL. Why don't they just get a bunch of big guys on 4th down, let him get the snap, and they just pick him up and throw him for the first down?
And then I referenced the old Innisfree on St. Patrick's Day when would occasionally take a small person
and throw them,
and throw them.
But I just could not get out of my mind that a couple of defensive linemen just picking Bryce Young up and throwing him for the first thing.
No, you think about it, though. If you could get a midget that actually could field, or you don't even have to get him to field the snap. You get somebody else to field the snap, hand it to the midget, and then everybody throws him over the top.
Yeah, I think there's a rule about you can push now, but I don't think
you can throw a player.
I don't think you can pull.
Can you throw a player then?
I don't know if you can throw a player or not.
But, here's my fear. If you get an athletic defensive back or linebacker, and they leap and hit him midair, it probably kills him,
You're going to need to throw him high.
What if I caught the small person, the quarterback, tucked him under my arm, and then ran for a touchdown? Is that points for me, or does he get forward progress?
Could he ride on your back?
I watched the rest of NFL Sunday thinking of a big old defensive lineman just chunking Bryce Young for a first down.
That is that segment right there. Clay Travis coming up at the top of the hour. A couple of other notes from college football when we come back, and it's a big day for all you iPhone users.
Another update. I need an update on my phone. I'm going to get one every other night.
Better camera? Faster chip?
iPhone 15 debuting today, and what they're debuting is Wonderlust. Wonderlust is the presentation they're doing today. USB-C connections, the buzz that's going to be different with a better camera, always Rockstar. Tell us about Hemphill. Hemphill Services. I'll tell you about Hemphill.
Tell them, Jimmy D.
Yeah, your plumbing, your cooling, your heating needs. They've been trusted in Birmingham forever and ever. Hemphill Services. Ask for them by name. Look them up. Hemphill for all your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Back in a moment.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com. Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com. The latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com. That's nextroundlive.com.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. You have all heard of Red Wing Shoes, but what is Red Wing Shoes? It's the place where men buy boots, plain and simple. Who are Red Wing's customers? They are construction workers, warehouse employees, college students, the guy that fixes your AC, the guy at the end of the bar, the IT guy. Red Wing is a father, Red Wing is a son, Red Wing is a cult following shared by all men. A classic, comfortable pair of cool boots with a story to tell. What's your Red Wing story? Red Wing Shoe Stores, located in Pelham and Trussville.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Back with you on the Next Round. Don't forget, go subscribe to Disrupt the Media YouTube channel. Also, War Damn Pods, Roll Tide Pods, while you're there as well. That gets you exclusive Auburn and Alabama content that you won't get anywhere else unless you subscribe and set the alerts for War Damn Pods and Roll Tide Pods right there on the Disrupt the Media YouTube channel. Need to subscribe to all those things. And if you haven't done it yet, like and subscribe to the Next Round YouTube page that many of you are watching right now.
And thumbs it up, man. Thumbs up everything we do. Thumbs
Exactly.
it up.
What Brown just said there. Personal loans for holidays just around the corner from our friends at Legacy. If you need extra cash and you need it quickly, look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. Our friends at Legacy, federally insured by the NCUA. UAB back at home this week against Louisiana, old Louisiana Lafayette. It's the Smile a Mile game. 100 patient names will be on the back of the jerseys. Trent Dilfer continuing that tradition as well. Brown's got an interview with Jacob Zeno, quarterback, who had another big 385-yard passing week. You can get that on the Disrupt the Media YouTube channel right now for UAB fans, but a big, always great game at Protective Stadium this week with those special uniforms. The patients will be at practice Thursday to meet the players who will be wearing their jerseys. Always a great moment down at UAB. All right, as we get ready for another weekend of college football, Tyler Booker later in the show, I wanted to pause briefly here for a little baseball. Matt Olson, in a doubleheader in which the Braves split with the Phillies yesterday, hit his 49th and 50th home run. Today is Freddie Freeman's birthday, who's now a Dodger, still doing well out in Los Angeles. But the concern of Braves fans when they lost Freddie Freeman was pretty high. They bring in Matt Olson, who yesterday passed Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews for most home runs in a season. I'll say those two Hall of Fame names again, Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron, with their 49th and 50th home run, passing them. He's only behind Andrew Jones at 51 back in 2005 for the most home runs in a season by an Atlanta Brave with still almost a month to go in the season. What a year for Matt Olson.
Incredible year for Matt Olson. A lot of people didn't know who the guy was because he played for the A's. When he got traded to the Braves, he's having an MVP-like year. I mean, he's going to be in the top three of the MVP voting. Acuna's going to win it. Mookie Betts is going to be 2. But Matt Olson's going to be 3. And on, every other year, this is an MVP year.
Yeah, best record in baseball. They've already clinched at least a wild card spot.
That's crazy they clinched the East that early.
Yeah. Not the East, the wild card.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They're about to clinch the East.
A postseason berth, yeah.
Postseason berth is there.
Pretty good they get the East. So.
Yeah, I'll bet on them right now.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is not walking through that door
he is not,
in both the AFC East or the National League East. But the Braves are good. More with the Phillies tonight. Boston hosting the Yankees tonight. Texas, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Minnesota as the race for the playoffs continue. But what a year for Matt Olson there. Home runs 49 and 50. And really doing it quietly in the shadows of Acuna as well.
Yeah.
They're going to have first and third in the MVP voting at the end of the year.
Well, I'll tell you, for casual baseball fans who jump on late and only watch postseason, I think they're going to be eye-opening, the Braves, when people start to see this lineup and how many guys have 25-plus home runs.
Do you buy Baltimore? Because I wonder how many people could tell you Baltimore's got the second-best record in baseball.
Well, I would tell you, because Tampa has chased them all year long, they occasionally will, like a lot of baseball teams win one, win two, lose one, win one, lose one. But they have gone on, like just the other day when Tampa Bay won 4 in a row, Baltimore won 7 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been unbelievable consistency from the Orioles all year. They have not just had one great – remember how good Tampa Bay was early on, the streak they were on? They've had a couple of minor one of those, but not as big as that one Tampa one. They have been very consistent all year. I buy into them 100%.
Yeah, I'm pulling for them because I got a text the other day that if Baltimore represents the AL, I got a World Series ticket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Camden, which would be awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if it's Dodgers, Orioles, you got Camden.
And I'll go with an Orioles fan and I'll pull for the Dodgers.
Yeah. So here
but
it is.
It's going to be hard. The Dodgers pitching is not going to hold up at the postseason, especially against the Braves lineup. We saw that series a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Can I bring up the college one too? Can we go to the public and ask the question whether you should be going to both these games? I mean,
I didn't know there was a doubt about the college one.
Yeah, it's still a doubt just because I hate flying.
Yeah, well, you got to fly.
I know. And I would have to fly to Baltimore too.
Well, since we're talking about it, LT has also been offered a ticket to see his Trojans play Deion, Colorado in Folsom Field. Bucket list for me. I don't know if he was offered two. But USC, and I don't know if I'd be the person he'd ask to go with. Yeah. In fact, I do know.
Yes.
I would not be the person he'd ask to go
that's
with.
Clear.
But so you've been offered in the last few days USC, Colorado at Folsom Field, and if it works out, Dodgers, Orioles at Camden.
Yeah, well, the Dodgers don't even have to go. It's just Orioles versus anyone. But yeah, so I've got a buddy. He actually works for Chicken Cock in Denver. Scott Banks, shout out, fraternity brother. Listens to our show a lot, but he said, look, I've got an extra if you want to come up September 30th and go see Colorado host USC, which I've always wanted to go to that stadium like you. Yeah. My only fear, though, is they are going to get the brakes beat off of them the week before, and you wonder how dead that atmosphere will be. Like if Colorado could go into Eugene.
For those who don't know, that's Eugene,
yeah.
Bo Nix, and Oregon host them. It's Colorado State, then at Oregon, then the USC.
Yeah, and that's going to be their wake-up call when they go to Oregon because Bo Nix is still scoring. He's scoring now. He's going to score later.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, and I just don't see that. If they were to beat Oregon, I can't imagine what that ticket would be.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's when you sell it.
If they're still unbeaten, that would be crazy.
Your buddy was like, you didn't show up. Like, I know.
Our friends at Wayne's for the past 50 years, Wayne's Pest Control has been serving our communities by doing the things they love, providing world-class pest control and termite protection for those they care about the most. And they want to say thank you to all of you folks out there who have been supporting Wayne's all these years. If you want to join the Wayne's family, you can do that as well. Either way, call Wayne's.com, and enjoy $50 off pest control or termite protection. That's $50 off pest control and termite protection. Call Wayne's.com. They also offer mosquito protection and lawn care services as well. See it all at callwaynes.com, and happy 50th anniversary. Texas, a back-to-earth game this week against Wyoming. Wyoming beat Texas Tech. Craig Bowles, the coach. That number's big. I don't want to step on anybody's toe if you're pulling Wyoming in an upset, but that is a no-fear-like program. How tough is it for Sark to get Texas back down to earth?
Well, if I'm Sark, I'm selling this. Hey, look, we lost 5 games last year. We haven't won conference championship since 2009. If you guys want to do something special, each and every week, you guys are going to have to be motivated. It was a nice win last week, but this is a Wyoming team, and I think it helps that Wyoming beat Texas Tech.
Probably so. Yeah, you could show them beating a conference team that's on your schedule.
Yeah, look,
right?
Texas Tech guys, if they don't turn the football over 4 times, they beat the number 13 team in the country last week, and they got beat by this team. So this team is dangerous.
Yeah, I think situations like this are less about coach and more about mature leaders on your team, by the way. Like a coach can pound on the point, and you know Nick Saban has done that, and you've seen teams that he's played that played maybe down to their competition a little bit, or that he's coached. Kirby, the same thing. I mean, Sark can go beat on the podium all he wants in team meetings. It requires your players to take the leadership in this, I think.
I mean,
And I think Quinn Ewers has become that guy for them, it appears.
Yeah, this isn't Ball State or somebody like that. Wyoming's got a better program than that, but you've seen some brands struggle with not brands for a quarter or a half or some for a whole game. It'll be interesting to see what kind of internal fortitude this team has built, the character. Quinn Ewers coming off a game with no interceptions and no sacks, and Sark talking this week now about getting refocused after the win over Alabama.
Great challenge, 2-0 team coming in here confidently. But for us, like we talked about to the team, that one game isn't going to define our season last week. What we do moving forward, I think championship teams continue to improve as the season goes on. And we've got goals and aspirations of being champions this year. We've got to continue to improve this week, and that was the starting point here this morning.
Look, I would put in the Tennessee tape really quick of Tennessee after the Alabama game last year, not initially, and not the Georgia game, but the one, who'd they lose after that?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. That's the one I would throw in there. Tennessee, South Carolina. I mean, look, just because we beat Alabama doesn't mean our season's over. We got to finish this, or this means nothing. It ended up meaning nothing. Texas A&M and Johnny Manziel, they went on and had a good year. They'd already suffered some losses, but you got to stick the landing when you get a marquee win like this. A loss down the road to anybody not named Georgia or somebody not in the playoffs is going to be a disappointment this year for Texas.
And I think it is a benefit that Texas played a mobile quarterback in Jalen Milroe last week, because they're going to see a guy that has played 6 full years of college football in Andrew Peasley, who is a dual threat quarterback at Wyoming. And you got to point out to your team, hey, look, this guy can play. He's got a ton of experience, and this is not just a walkover game. Now, I think it ultimately will be. I think Texas is going to play with a mat on all year.
I think they're good. But you know what game would scare me most if I was a Texas fan right now? Would be if it were Kansas instead of Wyoming. And here's why. Because you play Kansas every year, and you know Kansas is normally the bottom team in the conference. It is hard, I don't care what kind of year they have, to convince yourself to get up for Kansas. It's like playing Vanderbilt in the Southeastern Conference. And Kansas got a good enough quarterback to pull an upset. I'd be more worried if I were getting Kansas. They get them in 2 weeks. But if Kansas were right here in the schedule as a Texas fan, that'd scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because their quarterback's good enough that he can make some plays and keep that game close. I just don't think Wyoming would be good enough.
I'd be also a little bit more scared if they had upset Alabama in Austin and not in Tuscaloosa, because this is sort of the first time for that momentum to carry over, and you're going to not be sleepwalking because now you're back at home.
Yeah.
With all the crowd behind you, the party. I mean, it'll be cool to be a Longhorn fan all week long and be in that stadium on Saturday as they battle against Wyoming. Top of the hour here, Clay Travis coming up on the other side. Real quickly, after I tell you about NASCAR, I got a question. I'll give you time to think about it. How many of these 0-2 teams end up going to a bowl? Texas Tech, Baylor, Nebraska, Virginia. They're all 0-2. Tell me that answer right after I tell you our friends at NASCAR are getting ready to take you around what is a 2.66-mile bowl over at the world's fastest speedway, the Talladega Superspeedway, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for all your tickets and your race information there. 200 miles per hour plus, door handle to door handle, bumper to bumper. It is a demanding track. It's a playoff race. It is the Yellowwood 500 coming up. NASCAR weekend includes the Craftsman Truck Series playoffs on September 30th. Hardy in concert Saturday night, and then the Yellowwood 500 on Sunday, October 1st. Your tickets get all that. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
We're going to go Texas Tech. I think actually they can win 4 straight right here. Their next 4 are Tarleton State at West Virginia, Houston at home, and at Baylor. I think they can win 4 in a row. Now you're 4-2. I just got to find 2 more wins.
They should be 2-0. I mean, Joey McGuire can coach. They've got a quarterback when he's healthy. Like, he did turn it over 3 times last week against Oregon, but they were up 17 in the first half on the road against Wyoming. They let off the gas, ended up getting beat, and then they were up 9 going into the fourth quarter against Oregon. So both of those games they should have won. Texas Tech's a good team. Texas Tech's the only one out of those 4 I would take.
I would agree. I don't think I can make a case for the other 4.
Clay Travis makes a case on Aaron Rodgers, that disappointment, and everything else going on in sports when he joins us next. Later on, Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker joins us at 11 Central. This is The Next Round, being brought to you in part by our friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Yellowwood 500, It's the NASCAR Playoff Series at Talladega Superspeedway on September 30th and October 1st. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Want more of the Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
It's NBA time, Birmingham, as we hoop it up with the New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets, October 12th at Legacy Arena. Single game tickets are now available. Visit birminghamsquadron.com or call 205-719-0850 for more information or to buy tickets. And the game is packed with former local players like Herb Jones and Kyra Lewis Jr. and Jabari Smith, and other superstars like Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. You can also become a Squadron season ticket holder to get complimentary tickets to this huge event right here in the Magic City. The Pelicans preseason game in Birmingham sold out last year, so get your tickets as soon as possible. Do that online at birminghamsquadron.com or by calling 205-719-0850. October 12th, it's the Pelicans and Rockets at Legacy Arena right here in Birmingham. birminghamsquadron.com. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
There are so many things I love about Walk-Ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got two great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-Ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 and Hoover with Walk-Ons.
The Next Round store is live and loaded. Check out the latest logo t-shirts and hoodies. Get your favorite team colors, the Next Round flag shirt, or grab the popular Y'all Can Have the Rest t-shirts. Go to nextround.store. That's nextround.store.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Official update on Aaron Rodgers in just a second after I remind you our friends at Milo's is a great place anytime you're hungry. And Milo's Classic Burger is so good, but if that's not enough, if you download the Milo's app after your purchase, you can get the original cheeseburger for free. Stuff your face, earn free stuff. Download the Milo's app today and start earning rewards with our friends at Milo's. Adam Schefter and others now reporting an MRI confirming today that Aaron Rodgers has officially torn Achilles. And it was the fourth play of his career with the Jets. Rodgers' season now officially over. There's already questions about whether his Hall of Fame career is over as well. That from Adam Schefter today.
Clay Travis is the founder of Outkick, at Clay Travis on Twitter. You also see him on Fox Sports. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What is up, Clay? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Doing awesome. Thanks a lot. Look, I'm a Dolphins fan. Never cared anything for the Jets. I've never been a particularly big Aaron Rodgers fan. But I think as humans, as most humans, you're able to put all of that aside and look at this and say, I mean, that's just awful. For them to put in all that effort to get him and have all those expectations and to get 4 plays out of it. Not 4 games, not 4 months, 4 plays. I mean, it's just awful as a fan.
Yeah, it's about as cursed as you could get. And also just for NFL fans in general, because whether you are an Aaron Rodgers fan or not, the experiment of how he was going to do for the first time ever not playing in Green Bay and how he would do with the Jets and whether they'd be able to contend in the AFC East and all of those storylines, you know, what's Aaron Rodgers going to look like going from the NFC to the AFC. I mean, there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement. And then, like you said, I mean, I was at I didn't even know it. I wasn't watching. I was at a 7th grade school, whatever those things are, parent visits, where you go around all the classrooms and meet all the teachers. So I wasn't paying attention. I was locked in on that. And then, I had my phone turned down. And when I finished the school visit, pulled my phone out, my phone had blown up with everybody reacting to the Aaron Rodgers injury. So I wasn't watching it in real time. But I mean, just an awful situation.
Yeah, it ended up being, one of the best 22-16 games I've ever seen, though. I mean, there was a lot of drama. And on the other side, Clay, I mean, Josh Allen, who led the league in turnovers with 19 last year, turned it over 4 times. He's now 0-5 in overtimes in his career. And since he entered the league in 2018, he leads the league in turnovers. The guy is good, but boy, I just, I don't know if he's a quarterback that is going to win you a championship.
Well, I mean, he's going to be the new target, right? There's always a guy in pretty much every sport that everybody acknowledges is very good, but he can't quite get over the hump and win a championship. And I think if you look in the NFL right now, Josh Allen is going to be that guy, right? Now, there will be others. I mean, Lamar Jackson. Look, the reality is if you haven't won a Super Bowl and you're an MVP caliber player, then you're going to get, and a quarterback, right? That's what we do. Then you're going to be on the firing line, so to speak. I mean, Peyton Manning basically lived there for much of his career. I don't know that Matthew Stafford ever really had a high level of expectation in Detroit, but certainly there was a lot of whispers. I mean, Kirk Cousins, you can put in that category, guys who have had a lot of success, won a lot of, thrown for a lot of yards on an individual basis, but never really put it all together for a Super Bowl run. And so that is going to continue to build as an issue for Josh Allen, I think. And to your point, I mean, I think sometimes when you have the ability to make every throw, that can make you a little bit cocky. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember back in the day, Brett Favre sometimes would have a 5-interception game. And the wheels would just come off because he didn't change the way he played. He continued to gun the ball just like he was even on the first, second, or third interception because he had such supreme confidence in his ability. And I think that Josh Allen is maybe a descendant in some ways of that game plan.
Upset alert coming up in the next segment, so stay with us for that upset alert in the next segment. I'll ask you, Clay. I'm a horrible business person. I don't understand what DraftKings is doing, but they're returning every bet that was placed on Aaron Rodgers. Even for last night, according to reports, they returned everything, gave your bets back.
They're doing a PR campaign.
Yeah. Is that smart business?
Yeah.
Well, and in the wake, I think they had a never forget 9/11 parlay, so they're probably
no, they did not. No, they did not, Clay.
Oh yeah. Scroll down my Twitter feed. You can read exactly what they put together.
Oh, come on,
jeez.
Yeah, they did it never. Yeah, scroll down a little bit on my Twitter feed. You can see it. You'll probably just be like, I can't believe this is real. I tweeted it out. So I think they're probably in search of good PR right now at DraftKings after the never forget 9/11.
Man, I haven't even looked at the stock. I thought it was a good stock buy back in the pandemic, and I gave up on it because it seems like they can't get out of their own way. I'm going to say that probably didn't help yesterday.
Yeah, so I think that's the reason why they're probably trying to get back in New York's good graces by giving back the bet on Aaron Rodgers. But to your point, it's also just a promotional campaign, right? Those guys are smart when it comes to quants, when it comes to analytics, and they will somehow put a dollar value on how many people are saying good things about DraftKings. It's also a sign that the business is pretty good. Right, but they just write it off as a marketing expense, I'm sure, more than anything else. And remember, they're not taking the dubs; they're just returning the bets. So I think they probably figure that what percentage of the people that get back whatever money they got back on Aaron Rodgers are immediately going to roll that money back in on another parlay, another prop. almost 100%, I would bet.
Clay Travis is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. I want your Tennessee temperature right now. The Virginia win, I thought, went pretty well. I'm going to assume, I did not watch one single play of their game against Austin Peay. I am going to assume that Josh Heupel ran about as basic as he could run, but now you go to a place as Tennessee where you've only won twice since 1970. What is your Tennessee temperature right now for this game?
Okay, so one, Tennessee has not looked like Tennessee in the first two games, and the reason why I bring that up is they haven't gone really hyper speed very much, right? They haven't moved really rapidly. I've watched every snap. I believe they've only thrown the ball long one time with Joe Milton so far. In two games. So you guys know, I mean, taking shots downfield is a big part of Josh Heupel's offense. He runs the ball a lot, but kind of sucks you in, and then runs, double verts and just tells the quarterback, hey, pick one or the other. Let's see if we can make a play. They haven't thrown the ball downfield, and they haven't gone hyper speed. A part of me thinks that is because they're basically saving everything for the SEC season. They've got Florida. Then they get South Carolina back in Knoxville, bye week, Texas A&M, and Bama. So that's the first four SEC games. And so a part of me thinks that they're saving it. But if for some reason they aren't able to do it, that's more ominous because that's a huge part of the offense. So I think, the read is it's hard to have a read because I think they were so much better than Virginia and Austin Peay that they really haven't given you an indication of what their A-level game plan is.
People are asking about Mel Tucker. We'll get to that in a minute because I do have a couple of questions on that. But Deion Sanders in Colorado, that is the story right now with college football. And I'm a Deion fan. And look, the way they have played after going 1-11 last year is pretty amazing. And he's got some legit guys, especially offensively on that team. But the more they win, the more they bitch. And they're the angriest 2-0 team that I've ever seen. And look, and I don't think it keeps up. I think Oregon and USC both destroy them coming up this month. But if they do continue to win, how quickly do they go from being a great story to maybe the most hated team in 2023?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, that's always so let's take it off Deion for a minute. Remember when Kirby last year convinced his team that somebody predicted them to go 7-5?
Yes, ridiculous.
And it's like, well, nobody said they were going to go 7-5, but he got them to buy in. You guys know because you talked and covered Saban for 15 years now. There was about a decade there where Alabama was favored in every game. Yet Nick Saban was able to somehow play the disrespect card for his team. Nobody respected him. I mean, literally, you're favored in every game for a decade. It's impossible to be more respected. Yet he was able to play that angle. And so far, it seems like Deion has been able to play it. Now, they're 22.5-point favorites over Colorado State. I think it's hard to argue, or at least they were yesterday. I haven't checked today, but I think it's hard to argue that you're disrespected when you're a 3+ touchdown favorite. And I thought the wheels might come off against Nebraska. They didn't look very good for the first 20 minutes or so of that game, maybe 25 minutes. And I think the same thing could happen against Oregon or USC. But in the meantime, I think that translates well for Deion Sanders because I think a lot of recruits like what he is selling, and they like that swagger, and they like that us against the world, me against the world mentality. And maybe he's just going to be particularly adept. I mean, nobody's really actually disrespecting Georgia and Alabama, and Kirby Smart and Nick Saban both managed to convince their teams it was happening. So I think that some coaches just have unique talents when it comes to hitting the right button for motivation. And certainly Deion had that in his professional career, and it seems like it may translate in his coaching career. Here's an early question for you. Is Deion the best former player coach in modern memory in terms of most of the time being an excellent player, Hall of Fame caliber player, does not translate to on-field success? Steve Spurrier is one Heisman Trophy. Obviously, he didn't have the pro success that Deion did, but it's kind of unheard of to be as good of a player as Deion was and as good of a coach as he has so far has shown himself to be.
No, interesting question. Magic Johnson was awful, by the way, as a head coach.
Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Bird actually got to a finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete Rose wasn't great. I mean, like, Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah. It generally doesn't translate. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's maybe what stands out the most to me about Deion.
So, Clay, I go back to 2021, and I said it at the time, Michigan State made a huge mistake giving Mel Tucker a 10-year, $95 million contract. But now when you hear these allegations and you start to really dive into the story, there are a million holes in this story. And before Mel Tucker gave his side of the story yesterday, we had Joel Klatt on, and I said, I'll tell you what, Jimbo Fisher needs to watch out, because if I'm Texas A&M, I've got private eyes and I've got different people digging and digging and digging, because I'm one of those that believes every other person has skeletons, has something they don't want somebody to know. And when you have these guaranteed contracts and you're looking to fire with cause now, this is going to get nasty on some of these guys.
Yeah, so I don't know how much everybody's paid attention to the Mel Tucker thing, but I think he's getting totally railroaded. And I'll just give you a few facts that both parties agree to, right? Because I like to go, this is not me, saying, hey, this is what I think. I'll tell you what I think eventually, but let's go to the facts. These two had 27 phone calls, and the average length of those phone calls was over 30 minutes. How many of you have had 27 phone calls of over 30 minutes with anyone in the last year and a half?
Maybe not in my life, honestly.
Yeah. I
mean, I haven't talked to my wife for 37 minutes. I haven't talked to my mom. Here and there, a few minutes.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, this is dating me, but that goes back to like middle school, high school days, late night on the phone with a girlfriend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So
looking at my phone last week.
Situation.
In the last week, only Sunday with Brown. That's the only one I've gone over.
That was not 37 minutes. I called to see if you bought Sunday ticket.
So here, and what he's potentially going to be fired for is one 36-minute phone call. And let me just tell you, both parties agree to this. By the way, no text messages existing from either party. They said they both deleted them all. But if you're talking 27, times for 30 plus minutes, I would also assume there's lots of.
By the way, you can recover those texts.
Okay, you may be able to. I don't know, but I'm not an expert in the how phones work or anything. But they both acknowledged that they had a 36-minute phone call that started for him after midnight, for her nearly at 10 o'clock on the West Coast, where she was living in Oregon. 36-minute phone call that ended up in phone sex. She claims she froze and she couldn't hang up. I don't buy it. 36-minute phone sex call, and she says she didn't know how to hang up because she froze. Then 2 months later, she texted him Happy Father's Day. She didn't go public and decide to take this to Michigan State until he decided to cancel her next speaking engagement on campus. He said he did so because she was talking too much about his private life, and he wanted to cut this thing off. Okay, so my theory here, and all of that I just laid out is undisputed, right? Both sides agree to all of those terms. It sounds like they had some sort of personal relationship. She was into him a little bit. He was into her. He decided to cut it off. She was mad that he cut it off, and she decided to try to end him by going to file this Title IX complaint at Michigan State because nothing else adds up. And so I think he's getting railroaded.
I got a different take, though, Clay. Would you be shocked, and I'm just pure speculation, if Michigan State paid her to come out with these claims?
Yeah, I would be, because, that would be a multi-billion-dollar, if that were to be determined, that would be a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. I'm not even kidding.
Okay, but what about certain boosters that are on the hook for this $77 million?
I don't think that's a lot of money to you and me. That's not a lot of money to the boosters that are paying that money. And that can sound crazy, but when you're billionaires, a few $1 million a year that each of them are putting in, that is, tax deductible gift to the university. The guys that are paying for these salaries are so wealthy that it's like you or me giving a couple of $100 or, having a season tickets, like that's the kind of dollars that it represents in terms of their lifestyle. It doesn't even impact them. So to answer your question, I think that he's just getting railroaded. And I think part of it's the environment at Michigan State. It's not connected to this, but I think the Larry Nassar stuff. And then I think we just live in an age of cowardice, where people won't look at something and say, hey, you know what, you probably shouldn't have done that, but it shouldn't cost you your job. It's not criminal. He didn't commit some sort of crime. He didn't even touch this woman. And at least based on the reports and the facts that are not in dispute right now. So to me, Mel Tucker's getting railroaded. And I think there's probably some element of his contract that plays in. And I think, the reality always is if he were the defending national champion and he'd gone 13-0 last year, there's a different standard for Kirby Smart's behavior at Georgia than there is for, Clark Lee's behavior at Vanderbilt. That's just the reality, because with success comes more leniency in terms of what you can get away with.
All right, he is Clay Travis, at Clay Travis on Twitter, the founder of Outkick, and you can see him on Fox. Clay, thank you very much for the time. Have a great week.
I appreciate y'all. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. You too, Clay, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
And the show being brought to you by a couple of great folks. One of them, the University of Montevallo. If you've got a son or daughter rising up to start searching for that college of choice, make Montevallo that choice. Montevallo.edu. Montevallo.edu. 23 Division II fully funded scholarship sports. Great campus life, a beautiful campus according to Southern Living as well. All the sororities and fraternities that you want when it comes to your college experience, and a great education. Majors in broadcasting, theater, and a lot more. Check it out, montevallo.edu, montevallo.edu. And by our friends at New Life, Rockstar's viewing menu. LT will tell us about New Life in a second. What are you watching tonight, Rockstar?
I didn't know this. I used to be, when I was a kid on HBO, a huge Inside the NFL fan.
Yeah.
It was a great show. Really,
who was it when you started watching? For me, it was Nick Bonaconti.
Nick Bonaconti, Lynn Dawson.
Lynn
Dawson, yeah. Has Lynn Dawson passed since then?
I think Lynn is no longer with us.
Oh, I don't think he has.
Oh, Lance got Lynn Dawson still kicking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lynn Dawson died August 24th of 2022, Lance.
Wow. Not long ago.
Not even been a year.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is how popular that show was and how good it was. It was on Showtime. Now it's on
Max?
The CW.
The CW.
Oh, wow.
The CW.
Wow. It used to be on HBO, right? Or was it Showtime?
HBO
Showtime.
started HBO, then it went to Showtime, and now it's on the CW.
My favorite iteration, I think, was Dan Boomer, Phil Simms, Dan Marino, Boomer, Phil Simms, and did Bryant Gumbel host it? Am I making that up?
I don't know. Lynn Dawson hosted it forever.
Yeah.
I don't remember Bryant Gumbel.
I remember Bryant Gumbel being on there, but I enjoyed it back in the day before Sunday Ticket because you would get, much like Monday Night Football, you get highlights of your team that you never got to see.
Extended highlights with some Nat sounds on the sidelines. Yes, Rocky.
Then, we mentioned the Video Music Awards. Like, you don't have to look for them tonight because they're on Hulu, they're on Paramount, they're on MTV, they're on all the MTV, VH1, it's Comedy Central, TV Land. All these channels are doing the Video Music Awards to get those viewers, to get those eyeballs. And finally, 10 p.m. on MGM Hits. When I name an actress's name, tell me what first film to think of it.
Right.
Rebecca De Mornay.
I would go Risky Business.
Don't really know.
I was going to go Weird Science.
Hand That Rocks the Cradle or Risky Business?
The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is on tonight. Great nanny for a couple people. But it's interesting, somebody like that, and she never did. She was in like 2 or 3 movies. But that's what's on tonight.
That's what Rockstar is watching, brought to you by our friends at New Life Art.
Hey, artist Daniel Moore has announced that masterwork in oils legacy continues. You see it right there on your screen. The sequel to Moore's 1992 sold-out painting, The Crimson Legacy, features iconic moments and memorabilia from the last 30 seasons of Tide football. Order now. Go to DanielMooreArt.com. That's DanielMooreArt.com.
And we keep telling you, our friends at NASCAR are excited to have the folks back at Talladega. Hardy in concert on Saturday night, Truck Series race earlier that day, and then on Sunday it's the Yellowwood 500. September 30th, October 1st. Get your tickets now, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. For all the fun at Talladega, hey, if you've never been to a race, it's a bucket list thing here in the state of Alabama. TalladagaSuperspeedway.com, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest. As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pests, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice. If you're looking for a fun golf atmosphere that is laid back with a peaceful environment, the Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280, is perfect for you. Just a short drive from Birmingham, this 18-hole, 200-acre track with rolling fairways and ample greens is the definition of peacefulness of the country, just miles from the city. Enjoy a great lunch before your round and a cocktail on the wraparound porch after 18. Come see us today. The Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280.
Start your day online at nextroundlive.com. Get all the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. And it's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
Vulcan Tire and Automotive Chat Room. Hey, Brian. Brian's listening to us out in Las Vegas, one of our favorite places on the planet. Says he loves the show. Thank you guys so much. Chris says, definitely risky business, says Chris there. Back to Rockstar's viewing menu there. By the way, currently 11 stakes up, matching the all-time high. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Got a couple of more over the weekend with the Colorado outright win, which was a gift, and Texas plus 10.5, which was a gift. You were very generous at times this summer when we were talking college football. But the Colorado was just a flat. Everybody in America had Colorado this past weekend. That was a shock. New York Butcher Shop, if you want to swing by and pick up great meats, New York Butcher Shop. You know, I was thinking about, something Forrester would like for just all of his hard work. And I thought to myself, you don't seem like a massage kind of guy. Little T and I were talking about this last night. You don't seem like a massage kind of guy. And we were like, oh, I bet he'd like a gift card to New York Butcher Shop.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
a great gift.
definitely more my speed.
Because you are a grill guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You getting him one?
Maybe.
you offer?
Yeah, he's brought it up now.
The guy's kicking out content. He and Taylor left and right up here. They're working their ass off.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop. Pick up the finest and certified Angus prime beef steaks, burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. 2 great locations, Highway 119 in Greystone, the original in Cabo Heights. New York Butcher Shop. Get in, see Jim and the guys. Rare quality, well-done service.
Hey, and tell us about Michelson, too. I will point this out as well before we get to our upset alert here in a second. Gordon Ramsay, are you a fan? Since we got somebody listening in Vegas, he's got a couple of restaurants. You're a fan, Lunsford, Gordon Ramsay? I see him shaking his head.
He's a busy man. He's got like 15 shows, a bajillion restaurants. I mean, I don't know when the guy sleeps.
And now, Gordon Ramsay frozen meals that you can buy in Walmarts across the country.
So Gordon has sold out, is what you're telling me. But for that kind of money, I would too, just to be clear. But Gordon has flat sold out.
And I did not know this was such a big industry in America. $72.2 billion a year of frozen food sales in America. Walmart jumping in with Gordon Ramsay frozen meals.
Just to let you, just a little tidbit about Gordon Ramsay. Whenever he does Kitchen Nightmares and he goes to review restaurants that are failing, he gets super pissed about food that's frozen.
Yeah, does he?
Super pissed.
Not anymore he does it. Now he'll say. Now he'll say.
Now his face is on it.
No microwaves in our restaurant.
That's all over with.
Tell us about Michelson at Look Into the Food Future with Gordon Ramsay.
205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. They're going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. 0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. I had the 2200 vision years ago. Went in, got the procedure done. Got 2015 vision, better than 2020. Again, 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com.
Okay, upset alert coming on. There is buzz downstairs. I think the Brown Bandit may be making his way upstairs here momentarily.
He won last week.
So he's coming back in. We're getting ready for week 3. You know, it's a week slate. If you're just, I mean, there's no top 25 games or anything. But as LT always tells you, if you got something on the game, makes it worth watching.
It does, yep.
It's top 25 for you.
Lance'sLock.com for all your plays. Today's Spotlight brought to you by our friends at Bromberg's, LT.
Bromberg, since 1836, family-owned and operated. They are your diamond specialist. If you're thinking about popping the question, make sure you get in. Go see our friends at Bromberg's. 2 locations, Mountain Brook and the Summit. For more information, brombergs.com.
The College Football Spotlight.
Sound the alarm. College football's upset alert.
All right, Forster, you got the standings. We think this is the scoring system from last year. LT has picked up 1 point for covering. I've lost every week.
I got completely dicked by Texas Tech last week.
The Red Raiders, Lance, guns down.
You got that? You got D down in
I did.
down in Lubbock, not Dallas.
Got let down in Lubbock.
Yeah, there's a whole song about that. Brown, though, did cover Washington State and won the game outright, so he got the bonus 3 points, so he's out to a 3-1-0 lead, the Brown Bandit. I'll start us off here. We'll go this order all season long. I'm going logo against traditionally bad team, and that's traditionally a bad thing to do. But this week, I am taking my buddy John Willard's favorite team. Virginia Tech.
Hokie High?
Plus 6.5.
What a good logo, Dunaway.
On the road at Rutgers.
What time did you get here?
Give me Virginia Tech.
I got the text early when I was working out.
I did too.
6:15. 6:15 on. A little later than I do on Monday Morning Live, so I got to sleep in a little bit.
Boy, that's a good logo, though.
Virginia Tech plus 6.5. Trying to match the colors with our choices of colors a little hard, but
you did quite well.
I thought I did okay there.
Yeah.
You had to pull out the palette a little bit and sort of mix a little purple, a little red
right.
to get that maroon color.
Full hour.
Worked out
You
really
did
good.
great with what you had.
You actually could have done that in your bed instead of getting here early.
No, he doesn't have all the colors.
Yeah, I could have done this in my bed.
Yeah,
I don't know how you work in your bed, but I don't draw in my bed.
A Hokie is a nutless turkey.
Yeah, plus 6.5. I like Virginia Tech on the road at Rutgers. Was not impressed when I watched Rutgers play. Who did I watch him play?
I don't know.
Northwestern.
That sentence is eternal.
Yeah, I'll take Virginia Tech. LT, give me yours.
Look, South Alabama, very disappointing.
Jay's up, LT.
Very disappointing week 1 against Tulane, but you get Oklahoma State. You can't even get that game outside of ESPN+. I like the Jags plus the 6, 6.5, 7, wherever you're shopping it, maybe even 7.5. But yes, I think they win the game outright. I have not been impressed with Oklahoma State through 2 games. They're 2-0. Watching them in the desert last week, though, against Arizona State, very underwhelming. I think South Alabama has a great opportunity to go into Stillwater and upset Oak State.
Where's Clark Kent? He's left. But here comes Superman to save the day, or as we call him in gambling terms, Brown Bandit. Is there an open Rockstar?
Not yet. My God, it's got to be on the way.
We can work on it.
You work on a sponsor, too.
The Brown Bandit's here.
Hello, my subjects. We're back. We're back. We have won. We won. Lance did not like my pick. Lance did not like my pick, but we won.
I even went against it on Saturday.
Yes, he did not like it, but we won.
You had Washington State.
Back on my throne.
At home, getting 6.5 against Wisconsin. You held them to less than, you didn't, but the team you bet on held them to less than 100 yards rushing.
Yes, it was a great win for Washington State. Lance, did you like the pick?
I did not like the pick,
did you? Yes, but we won. We won. Great win for us here at the Brown Bandit. We got another winner for you this week. We have got another winner for you this week.
I hope
I've got my royal blanket.
Okay, I hope this has changed a little bit. Is that a throne? It looks like
I'm on my throne, Jim.
Looks like you've lost the use of your legs right now.
Little FDR in you these days.
I know.
I asked him when I walked in. I hope there's not an apparatus.
You'll see.
I want to put a turkey in every pot, a chicken in every pot.
So we are going to go back to our winning ways, ladies and gentlemen, and we're just going to keep giving you winner after winner after winner. But I want to start. With some.
My grandmother used to watch this guy on Sunday nights who would. People would roll up onto the stage like you look right now, and he would heal them, and he would stand up. The people would stand up.
Oh, was it Ernest Ainsley?
Yeah, they'd start dancing. They'd throw the wheelchair. They'd break the wheelchair. Then they'd throw crutches off the stage.
Hey, you know what? I think that old boy, was he the one that buried his wife with a phone because he was convinced she was going to come back from the dead and she could call from the casket and say she came back?
I don't think so, but I
swear I think that was him.
I think he did. I think one of my aunts had diabetes and he healed her over in Atlanta.
Interesting. Yeah, Ernest Ainsley.
That's what I heard.
In real life?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Did she go? Did she call in, or did she go to one of his things?
No, she went to one of the things and got called up there.
Yeah.
No, I do.
There's
believe in
somebody
healing,
out there
healing power.
Eats a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
You got diabetes.
Oh, it's me. Yeah. Come on up here on the stage.
Great Steve Martin movie, by the way, if you've ever seen that one.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Leap of Faith.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, we're going to go back to our winning ways here with the Brown Bandit, but I need to start with a series of questions for you gentlemen, if you don't mind. All right, Lance, if you go to a restaurant and that restaurant gives you food poisoning every time, do you want to go back to that restaurant?
I really don't.
Yeah. Dunaway. Oh, no. That was such a good drawing, too. Dunaway, if you go to a mechanic and he always brings your car back and it's not working again, do you want to go back to that mechanic?
I didn't know if I was supposed to do that or not.
Like dominoes.
I would say.
Don't let that man stand up and get him because he can't.
I would say no, Brownie.
You would say no.
No.
Lance, if your satellite television provider always screwed things up, would you want to constantly have to call their customer service number?
No, but I do.
I know. It's baffling. Jim, if you went to get a haircut, Lance, if you went to get a haircut and they completely screwed up the haircut, would you ever go back?
No, I would not, Brown.
Yeah.
I would not.
I don't think they're that important, Lunsford. I don't know. You got to grill it here.
We got more analogies coming.
No. Here it is, though. Here's what I'm getting to. If you always go to a place and lose, do you want to go back to that place? If you always go to a place and lose the game, do you want to go back to that place?
You don't.
You don't.
No.
You know who always loses in Gainesville, everybody? Do you know who always loses in Gainesville?
Tennessee.
Yep. Always loses in Gainesville. Here's the numbers for you. They've played in Gainesville a bunch. You know how many games they've won in Gainesville all time? 5. They've only won 5. Do you know how many games they've won in Gainesville since 1972?
5.
2. 5 all time, 2. Guess what they're not going to do this week? They're not going to win. Give me the Florida Gators plus 6.5. And folks, they don't just cover. They win this game outright. The Florida Gators off the schneid.
Are they eating a volunteer log there?
That's their tongue. The tongue's orange. As Dunaway told you, Lance, limited colors here in the studio.
Yeah.
Florida.
We don't have a blue?
Plus 6.5.
6 in my half?
6.5, Rockstar. Excuse me. I'm interrupted a lot in here. 6.5. Gentlemen, this game is my Jorts Forever game of the year.
Oh, all right.
The Gators and the Jorts winning this game.
Those things are freshly cut off.
The Gators and the Jorts winning this game.
It finally all made sense.
Lance, look.
Oh, wow.
The Gators winning this game.
See, I got cash in my wallet.
Oh, God.
Where'd you get those boots?
Huh? Oh, I've had these boots. Jim, look. Jim, the
I've got no
Gators
cash.
win, Jim.
Yeah,
Gators win it outright.
Please don't move that Gator.
They win it outright.
I tell you what, outside of Gainesville, you don't need to go to Cafe Risque.
You don't think so?
They would not keep their paws off of you.
Am I supposed to run zigzag to get away from you?
I won't back down.
All right. I mean, the no blue jeans were harmed in the making of this segment.
It's my Jorts game of the year.
That is really good.
Thank you.
That is really good. Big day in Aliceville, as Sam points out. It is. Something to sleep tight with tonight, ladies. Right there, brown and shorts. Finally, the royal throne cloth made sense at the end, and that is our upset alert today. We appreciate you guys being with us every week for that segment. Usually right after Clay on our Tuesday, and just a good conversation. Right now, I don't know if the power is flickering in Aliceville. Too many things plugged up at one time. But I do want to remind you that our friends at Alabama Power are giving you more options, ease, and control when paying your power bill right now. Now you can use, I even cracked myself up on that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
liked it.
Now you can use their digital wallet right now. It's secure and it offers convenient payment right there with Alabama Power. They got methods for you as well. You're already familiar with Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, Venmo. You can use all that now to pay your power bill. Visit alabamapower.com/myaccount, alabamapower.com/myaccount. We're back in a moment right here on TNR.
Follow Dunaway on Twitter and Instagram @JimDunaway.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's time to get out and enjoy the summer of 2023. Ocean City, Maryland, and your hotel family at Residence at Ocean City is ready to welcome you. Kayak from our Bayside Beach, swim in the Atlantic, dine at our Bayview Bar and Grill, span the 2.5-mile-long Ocean City Boardwalk, and a lot more. See all this plus irresistible summer deals and packages online at residenceinoc.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Do something different this summer. Residence Inn by Marriott, Ocean City, Maryland.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
The Next Round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Tyler Booker joins us next segment as we approach the top of the hour here. Don't forget to Disrupt the Media. Go follow us on YouTube over there, Disrupt the Media, for all of our extra content, and specifically for Auburn content exclusively, go to Ward Dam Pods, and for Alabama exclusive content, go to Roll Tide Pods over there with Disrupt the Media. Like and subscribe, set the alerts everywhere. The show being brought to you in part today by our friends at Chicken Cock.
Again, great bourbon to pick up for the weekend. Chicken Cock Whiskey, one of the oldest whiskey brands in America, founded in 1856 in Bourbon County, Kentucky, known as the famous old brand Chicken Cock Whiskey, a name obviously you won't forget. Chicken cock, actually cock preceded the popular usage of the term rooster in describing a male chicken. Additionally, rooster tails were used to serve the cocktails, i.e. the cocktail. ChickenCockWhiskey.com for more information. Available in bourbon and rye here in Alabama. All expressions are available for special order, again, at your ABC store or ChickenCockWhiskey.com.
They're trying to get Rocket Sanders ready for SEC play, so he will not play against BYU this week. Didn't play last week either. He's got a swelling in his knee. They're hoping to correct that a little bit. It'll be interesting, back to Brown's upset pick, that Tennessee and Joe Milton, this will be the first chance for him to lead the team on the road, being in Gainesville, and that becomes a big factor away from Brown's pick on how he handles the road situation. At home, they struggled for a while with Austin Peay.
Yeah, and the thing is, you go on the road now to a place, as the Brown Bandit told us, where Tennessee traditionally just can't win. And, as bad as Florida was week one against Utah, I think this will be a really good atmosphere for Billy Napier. And this is a game that he really needs. But they got back to doing what they do best against McNeese State last week, and that's running the football. Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, those guys were really good, and that's going to be their bread and butter. Graham Mertz is going to have to make some plays, but it's going to be about effectively, consistently running the football.
Night game, Gainesville. I just think it's a tough spot for Tennessee Dunaway, and Lance is right. It feels like, and Clay brought this up, they just are not throwing the deep ball now. Is that something that they're holding? I don't know what the answer to that is, Lance, but he's right. They really aren't throwing the deep ball that much anymore. They're running the ball. It's seemingly more than they did last year. I don't know if the numbers support that, but it looks like it.
Yeah, look, against Utah, they were completely lost. They were out-coached. It was a complete mess. McNeese State, you really can't get a gauge, but I feel like you're going to get more of the game plan against McNeese State, against Tennessee. And Dunaway brings up Joe Milton, his first road test, and it's going to be a test. You probably don't want to hear this after me liking Wisconsin last week.
I'm fine with it.
But I like Florida this week.
Yeah, I cannot say this enough. We're getting ready for a college football weekend, and a lot of people are questioning Alabama. We've seen that. We'll jump into that and hear from Tyler Booker live at the top of the hour. But after Brownie tells us about JohnsonRVCenter.com, I want you to hear what Tyler Booker was telling people yesterday at Media Day in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. The number one selling RV brand in America is Cherokee. The number one selling dealer in the state is Johnston RV Center. And it's the number one seller in Alabama as well. So Cherokee must be doing something right. Go see their Gray Wolf, their Alpha Wolf, their fifth wheels like the Arctic Wolf, their toy haulers like the Wolf Pack. They offer something for everybody at an incredible value and payments starting as low as $199 a month. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. You can always find them online, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
All right, here's Tyler Booker yesterday, and after we listen to him, I want to ask you this question. Other than quarterback, give me things you think are the biggest concern about this Alabama football team other than quarterback. Here's Tyler Booker.
With the full season still ahead of you, how do you feel the mindset of the team is right now?
The mindset of the team, we're pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. Who wants to lose at home, But there's only been 2 undefeated teams to win a national championship here at the University of Alabama, and all of our goals are still obtainable. We can still win the SEC West, we can still win the SEC, and get a college football playoff spot. So this was just a wake-up call for us, and we're all taking heed to what Coach is saying, and we understand that in order to be who we are, be who we need to be, in order to play at the Alabama standard, we have to execute.
Quarterback obviously is on top of everybody's list. After quarterback, what's your biggest concern, Lance?
There's a few for me, but I think it starts up front. Alabama used to completely dominate not only in the offensive line but the defensive line, and I think you've got issues with the offensive line right now. I won't steal anything from you, Brown, because I don't know what direction you're going to go. I'll start with the offensive line, though. Giving up 5 sacks, if that wasn't a mobile quarterback, it's probably more like 7 or 8 sacks, and you just hadn't seen that in the past, and they couldn't run the football.
Yeah, maybe Texas was the best defensive front they'll face all year. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Maybe Texas is the best offensive front they'll face all year because they can't pressure the passer either, and that's concerning to me. At least they couldn't against Texas, and that's what I'm saying. We're judging this obviously based on Texas, right? I mean, some of this maybe showed up a little bit against Middle, but I think most of what we're talking about here, we're judging against Texas. So if you're an Alabama fan, you hope you just played the best offensive line you're going to see all year, or the best defensive line, or both that you're going to see all year, because I think line of scrimmage is the biggest concern.
Yeah, and you go back, and Cody's pointing it out over there in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat, 38 pass attempts for Texas, 0 sacks.
That's it.
Dallas Turner was projected, not by one, by a bunch of people to go in the top 15 in May's draft. His stock is dropping.
Yeah. Defensive line, I'll go with discount Daniel there. Defensive line, I would go O-line first, quarterback pressure. That factors into the defensive line a little bit. Back in the day, Quinnen Williams, we saw him a little bit last night. Marcel Darius was in the arena the other night for the game. Those Jonathan Allen, all the commanders in Washington, those guys dominated, and they would eat up blockers. Somebody had to get double teamed. You know what that freed up? The Dallas Turners of the world to pressure the quarterback if they choose to do it. I'm worried about the defensive scheme. Because a lot of times they were trying to get home with 3 or 4, which when you had guys like Jonathan Allen, you could get there. These guys aren't getting there with 3 or 4. They've got to get creative on pressuring the quarterback down the road, or either that was the greatest offensive line in college football history the other night because they were not sniffing.
And I think the secondary's fine. The special teams are great.
But A+ on special teams.
But outside of that, I mean, there's questions everywhere.
But the receivers were, if you'd asked me going into the game, biggest concern, it would have been like receivers, a lot of the drops, the separation. I'm not worried about the receivers anymore. There are much bigger problems than those receivers.
Well, probably.
They balled out. They threw their bodies in harm's way to make plays.
But again, you don't have a Xavier Worthy. You don't have what Alabama's had in the past, and that's one of those dominant receivers. So I do agree. It looked like the receivers are sound at least. I don't think you've got a receiver that can take a game over them.
Yeah, I mean, Benton, for all the talk in the offseason, made a couple good catches Saturday night, but, I mean, this is a guy that I thought was going to be – I mean, when you heard about what he was doing in bowl practice, Alabama couldn't cover him. And he hasn't done much. Ja'Cory Brooks is MIA a lot. I thought Burton had a good game. He just – he scored 3 touchdowns. Only one of them went on the board, Dunaway, as you've pointed out. I thought that was probably – by my estimate, the best game Jermaine Burton has played at Alabama.
Yeah, he was behind them a lot. Isaiah Bond, I thought, was open a lot. Prentice, obviously, was named by the coaches.
Yeah, named by the coaches. I thought he had a good game, too. Yeah. Kobe Prentice.
And running backs weren't a concern at all. But, again, this rotation's been weird. I've said that multiple times. And outside of Justice Haynes, who didn't have a touch Saturday against Texas, there's not a back averaging over 3.8 yards per carry. That's concerning.
Yeah. Is the new Bama and Bourbon out, or does that come out later today? It is out right now. Bama and Bourbon. If you go to Roll Tide Pods on YouTube, you just put in the search there. Just search that, Roll Tide Pods on YouTube. Like and subscribe there. You get Bama and Bourbon and all of the rest of our Alabama content there. Good conversation with Aaron Settles there. Pritchlaw makes a great point. When the offensive line is not good, when they're having problems, it makes the quarterback, the running back, and the receivers all look bad. It all starts right there, right? So it all feeds to the others.
Yeah, I mean, it is. A lot of things are wrong with the offense, but it's like they stack on one another. The quarterback is inexperienced. He's got a line that's not protecting him. He's got backs that don't help him out. He may not have great receivers. I mean, it's just like every problem is stacked on top of one another.
Okay, tell me about our friends at Redmont Distilling Redmont Vodka. And I got one more. Brett McMurphy polled 120 FBS coaches with one question, and I'll tell you what it is after you tell us about Redmont.
Yeah, remember Redmont Vodka now available in 22 states. If you go into a local bar or restaurant, ask for it by name. If they don't have it, tell them to get it. Locally owned and operated. Redmont Vodka, their aim, clarity, and taste, color, and smell. It's vodka perfection, 8 times distilled, gluten-free. Pick up a bottle today at your local package or ABC store.
All right, so 133 FBS coaches, 120 of them responded to the Brett McMurphy question about whether or not you like the new clock rules, the new timing rules. 50 of them have a definite yes or no answer. 50 of the 120 does. So we'll break it down percentage-wise of 50 first off. Do you think they like it or dislike it?
I'm going to say they dislike it.
I would say dislike just based on the fact that we were so conditioned for the clock stopping on first downs. But I'll tell you, it really hadn't bothered me.
I've yet to notice it.
Yeah.
I have watched a ton of college football these first 2 weeks, have yet to notice it.
It hadn't bothered me.
It is. I don't think it's impacted the outcome
but
of one
if you
single
ask me,
game.
would I rather go back? Sure, but I really don't
I've
care.
yet to notice. Do you think it's impact on one single game?
Sure.
Which one?
Anyone that was close, and if your team's behind, you get one less possession a game.
Yeah, I haven't seen one where I thought, boof, those clock rules really cost so the game.
50 coaches that replied, 64% of them do not like it. Of the 120 that did reply but didn't have a yes or no answer, 58% of them said it's too early to tell. But of the ones that either said yes or no, 64% of those were no's.
Yeah,
Very few people like it, but of everybody that replied, 120, big number of them say it's still too early to tell.
Because it hadn't cost them a game yet.
Right.
Yeah, and those 64%, probably majority of those guys have lost games.
Go read Ryan Day's comments. People are like, 35 points. Where's your offense? And he's like, well, all it takes is the other team to get one first down. They've run 6 plays with this running clock, and I'm getting less possessions.
I would just point to Lincoln Riley and USC. They got no problem scoring points.
I think Ryan Day, I don't think it's the other team getting first downs. I think Ryan Day's got quarterback issues.
Yeah.
That's why he's not scoring points.
Yeah. Chip Kelly hasn't. There have been a handful of people that have not liked it.
Yeah.
Most of them have been offensive coaches.
The Shepherd says he started sweating the clock midway through the third quarter Saturday night. He's an Auburn fan. Yeah. I mean, again, I was watching the Auburn Cal game. Not a lot of people were picking up first downs. So, it was hard to tell.
Yeah. Probably, if you're not picking first downs, it didn't really impact the game.
The clock wasn't going to stop either way.
But, I mean, it is different. I think this past week it got to where the study shows that you're losing about 4 possessions a team now. So, that's up a little bit from the first weekend. So, 4 snaps a game per team. 4 snaps,
not possessions.
Yeah, 4 snaps a game per team.
You said possessions. Okay,
my bad. 4 snaps per game.
I have not noticed it. Not one time have I looked and thought it made an issue in a game. But
some of them, a quarter can go quick. Usually it's the first and or second quarter that it goes really, really fast, it seems like. All right, top of the hour, Tyler Booker when we come back. Pissed was the word he used yesterday. We're, FCC regulations. We'll see the words Tyler Booker uses with us when we come back right here on TNR.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
You hear a lot of interesting phrases while playing golf, like, I think you're on the beach, or the classic, you gotta hit it, Alice. One word you're sure to hear right now at Bentbrook Golf Club is wow. Brand new carts with complimentary GPS and the bent grass greens are so consistent, you just might drain a few more putts, Alice. Tee it up and find out for yourself. Book around today at bentbrook.com or call 428-1999. It's better at Bentbrook.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the next round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone. Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service. Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Another hour here. We race to Talladega a little bit later on this month as well. Hope you're planning on joining a bunch of us out there at Talladega Superspeedway. And a lot of people come to that race. Pack it out with tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Great racing going over there. Playoff race on Saturday. Hardy in concert on Saturday night, and then the Cup race, the Yellowwood 500 on Sunday. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Don't forget, we got Bud Light game night this Thursday night. We're at 10 Roof down in Lakeview.
Rusted. Tyler Booker is with us now. He's presented each week by Craneworks. The big guy says, check out the big dog for Craneworks and Rental Works. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What is up, Tyler? How are you today?
I'm great. How about yourself? How you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful. Thank you. You were pissed off yesterday. I assume you are still pissed off. How do you channel that into something positive on the field?
Still am. Yeah, obviously you don't like who wants to lose at home, especially us being Alabama. That's something our alum say. Like we don't lose at home, so obviously we're pissed. But what people got to understand is like we're pissed at ourselves. You know, like that game was within reach for us. We were leading at one point, and we just didn't execute. So it's reassuring knowing that we can make those big plays and knowing that those plays are available for us to make on both sides of the ball. We just have to execute. And as far as channeling that, just going to the team, like we watched the film, we saw where we did really well, but we also saw where we didn't execute. But when it comes down to executing, we're one play away. So this week we're just focusing on having 11 players doing the same thing at the same time and just, like I said, 40 times before executing.
We were talking about Texas and their next opponent, Wyoming, and how they stay up for an opponent like that. And Brown brought up the fact that a lot of it comes down to leadership in the locker room. The same thing goes coming off a loss. How is the leadership right now in the locker room with your team?
The leadership, we just seen where we fell short last week. Like last week, we didn't practice the best by any means on either side of the ball. So we're going to have a different attitude coming into practice today, just because we see what happens when we don't practice to the Bama standard. So we're very excited about practice today.
Yeah, I can understand that. Tyler, explain to me and for all of our viewers who have never played the sport, when you're pass pro, when you're pass protecting, Is it important to know exactly where the quarterback is? Does he have a role in helping you protect the quarterback, him sort of staying in a sort of safe area as you guys build a shield around him? How does that all work? Is that just nuance? Is that feel? Is that practice? Explain that pass protection to me like that.
Yeah, it's really practice and feel. And so for those of us for people who don't really know football, you want to create a pocket. So you want to have the defensive ends rush up field, and you want to be really stout on the inside. So it's really a U shape. So the quarterback can step up in the pocket, and then once those ends are rushing up field, he has a lane to escape if need be. So that's where we kind of fell short as an offensive line. Like me, I know I could be some more stout at the point of attack to give whoever the quarterback is room to step up. So and then the times to do it better of getting those guys upfield and widening the pocket too. So we just want to have the quarterback be very comfortable behind us and give him the time to do what he needs to do.
Tyler Booker with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He joins us every single week courtesy of Crane Works. The big guy says, check out the big dog, Crane Works and Rental Works. You've said it a lot. J.C. Latham, your teammate, some of your other teammates have said a lot about how you want to return to that dominating offensive line. I think I know you want it done. Alabama fans want it done, but it is yet to translate. Can you put your finger as to on why maybe it hasn't translated like you guys want it to?
It's just all great things take time. We had a lot of time during training camp, but going against your teammates and going against a different opponent each week is that's challenging to build that in-game chemistry. It's different, especially when you have three new starters on the offensive line. The only two starters that we have returning from last year are JC and Seth, and then Dalcor has a lot of experience. I had a good amount of experience last year, but ultimately we have a true freshman on the field as well. But Cade has done a great job. He didn't have the best game this past Saturday, but just watching the film with him, and he's in great spirits, and he knows what he needs to do better in order to have better games. But it's just a process, But the thing about us, we still have that same mindset. We're still finishing blocks, still being physical at the point of attack. We just have to be more consistent with it and add the technical aspect of the game with our mentality. But it's coming, trust.
I know you've only played a season and now 2 games, but that Texas defensive front looked really good. Would you say it's the best front that you've personally gone against?
Yes, I would say that just because consistently, like even when they rotated, sometimes there's a drop off whenever you play good defensive lines, but with Texas there was no drop off. They had elite guys at every spot, so you had to be on your toes through the whole game.
You mentioned the path to get to the playoffs yesterday when we were talking about that, and all the goals are still out there. The locker room afterwards. We only see Coach Saban with his post-game news conference, and he seemed to be very poised. He talked about it being a test. Obviously, he failed the test, but it was a midterm, not a final exam. There did not seem to be a lot of anger and or a lot of concern from Nick Saban. Was that the way he was with you guys as well, or had he gained his composure by the time he made it to us?
That's how he was with us as well. Coach, he told us, like he said, this was the midterm, not the final, but we failed the midterm. But ultimately, it came down to us beating ourselves. We can't have 100 yards with the penalties. We can't have 2 turnovers. We can't leave the defense on the field for that long. We can't be like us as an offense. We got to put up points as well. Like we have to execute. So it really came down to Texas having a great scheme for us and playing a great game. But I feel like in our heart of hearts, it ultimately came down to us not playing to our standard, not playing our best game, and the better team won that night.
You say you can't wait for practice today. Why?
Just because we didn't have the best energy last week, and we know that whenever we have a great week of practice, that makes the game easier. And just talking to some alums like Denzel Duvall and Josh Chapman, like they said, like practice was hard, so the game was easy. The game was fun, and we just want to have fun. We want all that hard work throughout the week to pay off. So the harder we work during the week, the more fun the game will be on Saturday. We're very excited to put in that work.
I'm interested in what you said there, because a lot of people will look at it and say, hey, Texas is a big name. It's a big school. It's a good team. It was such a tough game in Austin last year to hear you didn't have energy in practice last week would concern some. I mean, is that common? Why do you think that was the case?
No, I didn't say that we didn't have energy.
Okay.
I just said the energy wasn't where it needed to be.
It wasn't where it
and I
needed to
feel
be.
like-
Okay, that was my fault for saying it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think that? Why do you think that?
You're gonna
was
get
the
me in
case?
trouble, man.
No,
You're gonna get me in trouble.
no, that was on me. That was Ryan Brown, not Tyler Booker, that said that. I apologize, Tyler. You did say that. You said the energy wasn't where it needed to be. Why was that the case, do you think?
I feel like we just we probably just took we took winning for granted, like we did last year. You know, like we beat Middle Tennessee, and we just had to bring a different energy level and bring a different level of focus. You know, there was energy and there was focus, but it just wasn't where it needed to be.
You played plenty of football in the state of Florida. You guys go back to Tampa. You going to have a lot of friends and family in the crowd Saturday?
Definitely. I'm trying to find my favorite teachers and favorite coaches and see if they're available, and trying to get them tickets for the game. You know, it's always good to give back to those who pour so much into you. So I'm very excited to get back.
Will this be your first NFL stadium you've ever played in?
No, I played in MetLife my freshman year of high school. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, IMG and Thompson got canceled because of the hurricane. So you guys are still unbeaten. So that feels pretty good, right?
Yeah, lucky you.
No, lucky. No. We had a plan, man. We had a plan.
Game plan was in?
We had a plan. So, and I'll take that to my grave. We'll never play each other. Sorry.
We'll get a schedule for next year.
Okay.
Tyler ain't backing down.
All right.
Alabama is at South Florida this week on 2:30 on ABC, and Tyler will be there. Tyler, thank you very much for the time. Good luck this week. We always appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Y'all have a great week.
All right,
See
buddy. You too. We'll see you next week. Tyler with us. Normally Mondays at 9:25. He had an unavoidable conflict we were aware of. Tyler with us, courtesy of Craneworks and Rentalworks. The big guy says, check out the big dog, Craneworks and Rentalworks.
And this hour always brought to you by our friends at Champy's, champyschicken.com. Sterling and his crew down there bring you the 11 o'clock hour. Great Southern fried chicken, Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, and so much more. Check them out. Highway 119 in Alabaster, champyschicken.com. Just a couple of things here on Alabama football to put what Tyler was talking about in the book. 3.1 yards per carry, 20 running back runs, 63 yards total. They allowed 5 sacks. Would have been more if Milroe hadn't avoided it a little bit. Nick Saban's first double-digit home loss as the coach at Alabama. 10 penalties again. 2 of them negated touchdowns. There was a lot of things that did not go right. But he said this. All of that, and it's 16-13 Alabama as they take the commercial break to go to the fourth quarter.
It's still a really, really good team. They've got a lot to fix. But the good news is, brought this up yesterday, every SEC West team has a major flaw. So everything's wide open. You know, you don't want to lose this early. You don't want to lose at home. You don't want to lose by double digits. But if you're going to lose a game, lose to a top 10 or top 5 now in Texas, and everything is still in front of you.
Okay, NIL has changed college football a little bit. I got a big picture question for you right here in this segment after LT tells you about our friends at Dr. B. After the Alabama loss, this has become a major talking point around college football this week.
So
Tell us about Dr. B.
I hadn't seen this guy in a while, but dude called me yesterday, and he just wanted to know about Dr. B. He asked me all about my non-invasive treatment that I do 3 times a week for 30 minutes on the couch. He asked me about results. He asked me if it was safe. Yes. I told him it's one of the best experiences I've had. T3hair.net. He said he just started thinning out. I said, now is the time you go see Dr. B. Unfortunately for Dunaway, his hair follicles have died. If you wait too late, that is going to happen. Get out there, be preemptive, and get it done. T3hair.net. Again, Dr. B's been doing this for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. Call today. Schedule the consultation, 205-319-0316 or T3hair.net.
Yeah, everyone reminding you, Tyler Booker and Alabama played in the Superdome last year at the end of the year. I know you don't love the Saints, but that is a pro stadium.
It is.
Even Tyler forgot. He was like, man, live.
Yeah. And some people are saying Alabama's been a pro stadium for years.
Bryant-Denny.
For years. Bryant-Denny's home game of stadium. So here's the big picture question. And this comes really full throat this week because of the Alabama loss. But it has started back to the opening weekend with LSU losing to Florida State and the SEC being 3-6 in the Power 5. And it involves the NIL. And people are asking the question, is the NIL impacting the Southeastern Conference? Is it spreading talent around? When you look at the receivers, Florida State and Texas picked up in the portal that they added and some of the other positions. And you see what USC has done to take Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC. Is the NIL leveling the field, and is it maybe the biggest thorn in the side of the SEC continuing dominance of college football?
Well, here's the strange thing, and yes, it is changing the landscape, and I think there's a lot more parity, but the interesting thing is the SEC, not necessarily the richest boosters, although they've got a lot of those too, they make the most money. So you just got to find the right guys, and you got to pay them. I mean, this is part of the business now. You've got plenty of money to do it if you're the SEC. But, yeah, I think some of these other schools right now, at least this year early on, Brown, it looks like the SEC has not gotten the positive end of the transfer portal and NIL deals.
I mean, I guess so, but who do you think has benefit from it, right? Who is, you're just saying
the ability to spread talent out more to where the SEC, you have to admit, has a recruiting advantage where a lot of the best recruits are right here in the footprint. But Keon Coleman coming over from Michigan State, going to Florida State, I mean, that is a huge get for Mike Norvell.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just go watch that LSU game and see how important it was.
I smell Tucker getting Kenneth Walker to come from Wake Forest, got him $95 million. Now, he might not get 77 of it,
I don't think so.
But he's gotten to be a rich man on the transfer portal.
Yeah. I don't have it in front of me anymore, but back in the summer before the season started, 24/7 ranked the top, I think it was the top 50 boosters financial donations between 2005 and 2022. Alabama was 12th on that list. I think Auburn was 8 or 9, somewhere around there. There were a lot of schools.
A&M won?
I can't remember who it was.
Texas or A&M?
Yeah, it was high, they were high.
Yeah.
So, too, was surprisingly Florida State. I didn't know Florida State had that kind of money.
Wasn't Michigan kind of low?
In the booster department. I cannot remember that list. I'll see if I can find it while we continue the conversation here. But I wonder, if the NIL is what will break up dynasties. You see it in the NFL, right, where the draft and free agency spreads talent around the league. And now with, like, Nick Saban has it going in recruiting. Georgia has it going in recruiting. And there have been different dynasties over the years, but if you're unable to retain talent, Nick Saban said it in the offseason, it wasn't the number ones, the first teamers at Alabama are not hitting the portals. It's the backups. And now all of a sudden, you don't have that depth that you've had in passes. And those backups who are really good find themselves at other places playing and sometimes coming back to beat you. It's an interesting conversation.
So question to you guys, if you're Riley Leonard, local Alabama guy, playing at Duke now, who's ranked, and you've got an opportunity to go to the NFL after this year. And look, he might be the fourth, fifth quarterback taken. Or you can transfer somewhere like Alabama, in-state, and make millions of dollars. If you're Riley Leonard, do you take a look at that instead of going to the NFL, where you're probably not going to start next year? And I really don't know where he's going to get drafted. I mean, I've seen him late first round. I've seen him, late second round.
Ask the question this way. If Riley Leonard was the quarterback the other night for Alabama, do they beat Texas?
Yes.
I'm not going to say as quick a yes as Lance did.
He jumps out to me, though, playing with
I don't know if you can
very
say that.
average talent at Duke. Now, they're well coached, but he can make plays not only with his legs, he's got a live arm. He's a better quarterback than Jalen Miller. He's got a lot more experience.
They would have been better at quarterback. I would have said that. Is it enough to win the game? I do not know. He was still going to be running for his life. They're not going to block any better for him than they blocked for Milroe.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, though. I don't think he throws those 2 picks. And without those 2 picks.
Probably not. It's a much closer game. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Maybe so, Jim. I mean, maybe Riley Leonard was the difference in winning the game or not winning the game. I don't know. I think we're in an age, and Caleb Williams has indicated this, where you can make those types of decisions if you want to. You go get a big insurance policy. You tell your school, I'll come back, but I'd like a certain amount to come back. That school goes and gets that money. And you got an insurance policy. I mean, a $35 million insurance policy wouldn't be crazy, would it, for Caleb Williams?
No.
Yeah, 35, 40, $50 million. I don't know what a cap on one of those is, and I don't know what the premium is. But if I'm making $5 million, I could pay a pretty hefty premium.
Yeah, if I'm Caleb Williams' dad, who's already outspoken Carl Williams, I know what Joe Burrow just got in $55 million. I believe my son is going to be that good. Yeah. So you got to at least get something in the neighborhood of that.
If I go get a $50 million insurance policy and I'm making $5 million, I feel like if I get a bad injury, my career is not going to end the way I want it to, but I'm still going to be pretty comfortable. I'm not going to be, Joe Burrow rich, but I'm going to have some money.
From 24/7, and this is from 2005 to 2020, Oregon was number one.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
To that one. Texas A&M was 2, and Texas was 3. Number 4, surprising to me anyway, is Florida. Number 5 was Georgia. Number 6, Oklahoma State. But as Brown pointed out back then, that was changing. LSU was 7. Oklahoma 8. Auburn number 9. Number 10 was Florida State.
That was the one that surprised me.
Yep. Ohio State, which surprised me, was that low, was 11, and Alabama was 12.
Yeah.
12 when it comes to booster donations from 2005 to 2020. Just interesting to see how, maybe it's going to be just a little harder to do what Nick Saban, well, not even what Nick Saban has done, because that has never been done. The sustainability of success from 2008 till right now has not been equaled in college football since they started the AP poll. But to have long-term excellence, not even compared to Alabama, just by anybody's standard, is it going to be harder now with the NIL, with talent moving around so quickly and so freely and so widespread across college football, and especially now with the bigger conferences? You could say, well, I want to leave the Pac-12 because I want a better TV deal. Maybe I want to go to the SEC or the Big Ten. Well, I don't have to leave USC, UCLA, or Oregon or Washington anymore. I'm going to be with that great TV package in the Big Ten. Or I don't have to leave Oklahoma and Texas to play in the SEC anymore. Hell, I'm in the SEC now.
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of people that don't understand NIL and these collectives, and these collectives are starting to tighten it up, and they're figuring out their way. An example would be Bama and Bourbon. Aaron Suttles is with Yale, Alabama. And I think when some programs like Alabama start losing some games, I think more of the fans are going to get involved in chunking into these collectives. Because I don't know about you guys, is we'll just use, Bucks and Dolphins as an example. But if I knew my dollars were going to the Rams and it would help them win, if I had disposable income, I'd probably throw it that way.
Yeah, like if Aaron Donald wanted a contract and they said, hey, we need every Rams fan to pitch in $100. Yeah, I'd do that in a heartbit.
I'd give him $100 if I felt like we were going to get him. If we were 90+%, I would put in $100.
Jets fans today would be Venmoing to get a new quarterback like that, or donating an Achilles to Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
Here is Deion Sanders.
Might be a bad idea moving forward.
That was unintentional.
Yes.
Here's Deion Sanders, who also is going to be a thorn in the side of traditional college football, because there's a growing buzz of guys who will want to hit the portal and come play for Deion. He's got a big noon kickoff who will be at a Colorado game that they're not broadcasting this week, so it'll be 3 straight weeks that they have been at the Colorado game. It's like they're the Colorado television network. But this week, game day is there as well. Here's Deion.
College game day hasn't come to Boulder very often, and they don't go very many, they can only go 12, 13 places a year. So how satisfying is that you tell these kids, come here, we're going to build something special, and it's coming to fruition?
Well, we expect it. I know it sounds kind of boastful. It sounds at the risk of sounding arrogant. We truly expect that, and that's why those kids come. They want the biggest stage, and they're getting that during the week, and the numbers justify. What numbers did we have last week? Over 7 million. 7 million viewers on Fox. I think it was their biggest opening day in their history. First game out. So shoot, I'm pretty sure these numbers are going to justify it as well.
He's right. I mean, they're number 2 behind only Alabama, Texas.
That's
Week
right.
1, they were number 2, only behind LSU, Florida State, which had the stage to itself.
Yeah. By the way, virtual tie with Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama, Texas. The only way Alabama, Texas beat them is you had to factor in the McAfee simulcast there on ESPN too.
Do you think we'll ever see another coach have a towel around his neck, pocket square, and shades?
Only Prime
at a press conference. Let me
Well,
ask you guys:
Was
this.
that a towel or a hoodie?
I say you don't want to be boastful.
I think it was a towel.
Yeah.
I think it was a towel.
I thought he still had his hoodie on. And
It
just
might
had his
be.
sport coat over.
Yeah, I thought it was the hoodie and a sports coat.
Yeah, see, I think that's his hoodie.
Yeah, maybe it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. It
With
looks
the sport
so,
coat with
looks
a
little-
pocket, with a pocket square.
So how loyal do you think Deion is to this program?
I don't
'Cause
know.
I'll give you an example. And I found it interesting, Clay, when we were talking about Mel Tucker, that he doesn't believe the school or boosters would get involved. As far as me speculating that somebody could be paid off to create dirt on someone. Because Clay was like, look, that's like me and you giving somebody $100. Well, if it is, buy Jimbo Fisher out. So my question to you guys was going to be one altogether. Do you think Deion is loyal to that program if he was to get a bigger or better job? Like, again, if Texas A&M said, we're going to pull the trigger, we're getting rid of Jimbo, and they offered Deion, which Barkley said was going to happen last year anyway, do you think Deion would bolt?
Listen, I don't want to give you the answer that nobody wants to hear is I don't know. But I don't know. I think it'd be easy to say that, he could, package up what he's doing at Colorado, and if a name program, we'll use just Alabama as an example. If Deion Sanders, if Nick Saban retires and they ask Deion Sanders, would he pack up Colorado and go to Alabama? I'd like to think yes, he would. But I don't know. I mean, sometimes people Bruce Pearl has had opportunities to leave Auburn, and he has chose to stay at Auburn because he feels a loyalty for what Auburn did for him.
And he's also taken him to the Final Four, so in his mind, if I can do it here, why leave? And I don't know if Prime feels that way about Colorado. He's a pretty confident guy, but he feels like he can get Colorado to the playoffs.
Is somebody saying G. Curbo is saying Deion's the next coach for the Cowboys? I've heard that multiple times, his relationship with Jerry Jones. Thing I would say is I wouldn't hire Deion in the NFL. I've seen enough. It's almost like he's a cult leader. He can get these kids to come in and buy in. So I would hire him wherever in college football if you like the brash, the cockiness, the arrogance, the package that comes with it.
Yeah, he's winning.
But I was just going to say, I think he can bring any players in, and he's going to have success. NFL, you can't do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're tied to the draft and free agency and contracts. I would ask you this. He's coached his kids along the way, and he's coaching his kids now. When his kids aren't in college anymore, is that when he goes to the NFL, or is that when he decides, hey, I'm not coaching anymore? Or does he really want to keep doing this?
I think he's one of the most unpredictable people we look at. Who knows?
And most people are who don't need the money.
No, he does not need the money, and that's the factor here.
He doesn't need the job.
That's right.
But again, Deion likes going down a different path. He loves challenges. Call it selfish, call it what you want. But the day he played for the Braves in the World Series and the Falcons in the same day, that's something that's never been done before. I think the more people doubt Deion, the more he's going to want to stay in the game until he ultimately wins a championship.
Yeah, and trust me, it was a great day of sports. I enjoyed watching him do that. I enjoy watching people try to climb those mountains. Tell us about Moore's Marinade.
By the way, I think Deion's a spender. I'm just guessing.
That's a lot to spend, though.
I am too. Moore's Marinade, though, will help you make that grill taste a little bit better tonight. Trash coming up in the next segment.
Hey, I used it. We did steaks on Friday night. I used Moore's on the vegetables, too, and it was fantastic. We had some of the squash and the zucchini and all that. Chop it up with the Moore's on there. My wife made a little mixture using that Moore's marinade as the base, and one reason you can do that is because it is lower sodium than the leading lower sodium marinades that brag about it. Actually, Moore's is lower sodium than that. It is great on your burgers, your chicken, your steak, your pork, your veggies. Moore's buffalo wing sauce, too, adds a perfectly tangy flavor. Guess what? During the Dolphins-Chargers game, my wife brought home some wings. She brought that Moore's wing sauce downstairs, and it was terrific on my wings. I had it twice this weekend. Moore's Marinades. You could see more and do what my wife did. Get some recipe ideas and grilling inspiration right there at mooresmarinades.com. That is mooresmarinades.com. Let them crank up that grilling experience for you this weekend. Moore's Marinades.
Follow John Lunsford on Twitter @JLuntz.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention Next Round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone. Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
The Next Round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and our entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
You know, occasionally you get a free HBO, free Showtime, free Sunday ticket for a little bit on opening weekend. We're going to give you a little free sneak peek all week long of some new programming we have over on the Disrupt the Media channel. Right when the show is done, every day the rest of the week. Today, if you stay with us right when the show is done at 12 noon today, without changing channels or doing anything different, going anywhere else, clicking another link or anything, you will get the Burnout today with Peter Burns and Ryan Brown. That'll be right after the show. We'll tell you more about that at the end of today's live Next Round. So just a little sampling, a little free sneak peek of what you're missing over on Disrupt the Media, that YouTube channel. Remember, like and subscribe, Disrupt the Media, and set your alerts. And for Auburn-specific programming, you go over there for things like the Village Vice. You subscribe to War Dam Pods for things like Bama and Bourbon, Roll Tide Pods, all the Auburn and Alabama content over there as well. And that is after the show today, The Burnout with Peter Burns and Ryan Brown. Show being brought to you, LT, by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Tell us about Hemp Hill.
Yeah, again, Hemp Hill offering right now 0% for 60 months for qualified customers, plus free 10-year labor warranty when you mention the Next Round. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure HVAC unit ready to keep up with changing weather. Still in the 90s this week. Call today, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
Texas Tech gets a big 5-star wide receiver. Micah Hudson picks Texas Tech over Texas, A&M, Georgia, and Alabama. By the way, Keelan Robinson used to play at Alabama, running in front of the recruits who were there watching Texas and Alabama, saying, come to Texas after the game.
That's a bold move.
4-star. Go ahead.
I did see that Ryan Williams, the back, I think said he was going to visit Texas now. That'd be a big loss.
4-star defensive lineman Antonio Coleman of Saraland picks Alabama over Auburn, Florida, Texas, and USC. And 4-star linebacker Chris Cole picks Georgia over USC, Tennessee, and Miami. That is 8 top 100 commitments for the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's do trash. Hit the big button, rock star. Do it, man.
reporters have been saying some pretty nasty things about Western Pennsylvania lately. And you know, I couldn't agree with them more. I couldn't disagree with you. I couldn't agree with you more than the fact that
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Buying a home, major milestone in life. Getting it right comes down to the right advice at the right time. That's why we're proud to partner with our friends at Mortgage Right who do mortgages the right way. Call them today, 815-9200. That's 205-815-9200. Or you can apply online, mortgageright.com/TNR, NMLS 2239, equal housing lender. We sent out a video the other night. We blamed Bullet for destroying my kitchen. It was actually Chili.
Oh, no.
Chili's at the house right now. Bullet went on a little road trip, a little field trip this morning. You'll see him over there with our buddy, Dr. Rab Stewart, over in, what is the...
is this just a friendly visit right here, Lance?
Ross Bridge. This is not a friendly visit.
It's not a friendly visit? What's going to happen?
Well, that's the before. And here comes the after. My man got his manhood taken off today.
Oh, Lance, why do that to him?
Well, I got a call from boot camp. They're like, you got to come get Bullet. Bullet is a devil.
Humping
He's a
everything?
demon. Yeah, and he's got to be chopped. He's got to be neutered ASAP.
Mississippi leg hound in him.
Yeah, so he's good there. But do we have the next clip, Forster?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's
Theater of the mind. He got his nuts going.
He was just in the cage with he looks pissed, really pissed. But I guess if somebody cut your balls up, you'd be pissed too.
I hope I don't find out.
Okay, do you think 11,196 years is probably a little long to get sentenced to prison for?
What they do?
Anything over 8,000 is excessive.
11,000 years?
A disgraced Turkish crypto founder who fled to Albania and his two brothers have been sentenced to 11,196 years in jail each. Prosecutors had asked that Thodak's boss, Farouk Ozier, 29, to be sentenced to over 40,000 years in prison for money laundering, fraud, and establishing a criminal organization.
Truthfully, it looks like his two twins are arresting him.
Everybody kind of looks alike in that photo, really.
I mean, he
the captain.
He looks like he's had somebody killed.
Yeah, it's like, bro, man.
I mean, this is white collar, but
what? I know it's good cop, bad cop, all this stuff, but bro, why are you arresting me? Let me go.
They said it was
Mom's gonna be mad at you.
A brief trial. Turkey is known for using massive prison sentences, which became more common after it abolished the death penalty in 2004. Now, they said that he had transferred $570 million worth of crypto assets to 3 secret accounts. Then he fled Turkey in April of 2021. Most of the money ended up in a Malta bank. He was arrested last year in Albania on an international arrest warrant.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, there was a saying, Turkish prison.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would imagine it's not good living.
Even made it in the movie Airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was, oh my gosh, Randy Quaid was in the movie. It was based on the true story, the dude that got busted in Turkey for running hash. It was a very depressing movie. But again, true story, and he ends up getting out of the Turkish prison. But I think a lot of that was from that.
What is a Turkish bath bad? Isn't that a phrase, a Turkish bath?
Oh, look, that sounds fun, though. I have to look the meaning
Is that worse than a Turkish prison?
I think I would take the Turkish bath.
I think it's going to have some.
You don't know, Lance.
Yeah. I would say use Brown's login as you search that.
Hey, for people riding the Sky Glider during this,
bath.
A public bath?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Public bathing.
That's a hard pass for me.
You want to do that in prison?
Well, I mean, I would go public bath before prison, especially in Turkey.
Either way, you're passing the soap.
That's true, Jim, yes.
For people riding the Sky Glider during this year's Minnesota State Fair, there's a good chance many riders saw a familiar yet surprising sight, a colorful array of bras, underwear, countless scrunchies, stuffed animals, and even a VHS tape decorating the roof of the Kemp's Little Farm Hands exhibit. Now, no one seems to know how the tradition began, but year after year, the roof ends up being a display the public curates for the fair. The Great Throwdown tradition at the fair has been occurring since 2001 when the Sky Glider first opened, according to a 2016 story. Now, over the years, media outlets have reported on dropped items, including Sweet Martha's cookies, a toilet plunger, stuffed animals, even a prosthetic leg.
They do this, like, intentionally. This is not drop stuff. Yeah.
So they just drop it in when they somebody started this, and people are throwing their bras.
Well, I mean, somebody did that at the Bama for the first time. They threw their bra up on the wire there, and now it's a tradition.
So Rockstar, it's the little hands, like that's the kids zone, which could be very confusing for a little hand downstairs if they miss on a big bra that just slides off and right into the petting zoo, if you will.
You think they'd frown if I dropped Bullet's balls on the roof?
Yeah. I would really question why
somebody dropped vomit.
Why you were carrying Bullet's balls with you. That would be my question.
You don't think I'm picking those up in a mason jar?
I would hope not, but I know you love the dog.
Casino employee tasked with unclogging cash-out machines at a Gun Lake casino admitted to stealing more than $84,000 over a span of 14 months.
The last place I'm stealing anything is a place called Gun Lake.
It does sound like a wonderful place, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is...
you get that name one way, don't you?
Yep.
It does seem a little dangerous to steal from an Indian tribal organization.
I would agree. I
mean, I think they've got a lot of land, and you might never come back.
Yep.
Jordan
Not
Lewis,
as much land as they probably deserve.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, this land is tax-free, though, Jeff.
Jordan Lewis Cook admitted to the thefts in a written plea agreement. The charged theft from the Indian tribal organization is punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Now, according to the plea agreement, Cook admitted that part of his job was to help clear out jams in the cash-out machines located in and around the casino floor. He did. Cook used a key open card to get the machines open, took out the cassettes that hold currency in various denominations, then was tasked with removing the crinkled or misfed currency.
I got to tell you,
Makes sense.
They only told me to clear out the jam. They did not tell me what to do with the money.
This is all crinkled. You're not going to use this.
I had no idea I was supposed to give it back. That's on me.
It was all jam, no jelly.
That was on me, yep.
Cook admitted to stealing various denominations on at least 32 separate occasions. His total take, $84,564.
It's a good tip jar.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. They know the exact dollar amount there.
Oh, there's a lot of cameras in casinos.
Yeah, there's a lot of cameras. I don't think I'm being discreet by taking this money.
And I think every time we hired Eddie, we were like $500-600 short. So we're going to start watching what Eddie does every time, aren't we?
You ever wonder what the Powerball winner buys?
Normally more than they can afford, don't they?
Yeah, like if I won the $214 million plus, the first thing I was going to do is give $1 million to everybody up here.
You want how much?
$214 million was going to be my take home.
What about though you had done that and then we hire EG? Were you going to give her $1 million in back pay?
Had I met her yet?
No, you had not met her, but
then I would
you
have
just won.
But after meeting her, no way. No, I'm kidding. She's fantastic. I would absolutely. I would if she was here when I got the money.
You would. She'd have to be here because if you set that precedent, then anybody that comes into the company.
But I mean, we hire her a week later, so you give everybody $1 million, and then we're like 1 week later, hey, everybody meet Emily Grace McWhorter. EG is going to be here, and you're like,
it depends on how much if I paid off my church's debt at that point. I mean,
how much did you win?
My take home was $214 million.
Okay, how much debt does your church have?
Not much.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but I was going to pay it off too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to save some for me and my mom and dad.
$214 million. EG just wants $1 million.
High school baseball coach.
I think this guy might have overspent, though. I could be wrong, but he won the largest ever Powerball jackpot at $2 billion back in November.
That's the house you almost bought in Homewood.
I mean, that is a badass pad.
That really is, man. Does it have?
Because I like modern look. I'm more so like a ranch level modern look. That's got 2 levels, which is fine. Actually, looks like it's got a little skytop. Hangout area there.
That's so
it's a big house.
If you walk around naked, people are going to see you.
They are.
I guarantee that pool will be full of them. Edwin Castro, he has maintained a relatively low profile since the historic win, but he has decided to go to Bel Air and buy this mansion.
That's not in Pelham?
Oh, I thought it was Birmingham. I really did for a second.
You thought that was Birmingham?
Yeah. I mean,
That's City Federal.
When's the last time you've been downtown, by the way?
There's the Shannara building right there. There's Russ and Patrick. Hey, Russ, Patrick.
Well, actually, you got a pretty good deal on this. So originally it was listed for $87 million.
Look at that
over
garage.
$87 million.
Holy crap.
Yeah, looks like your garage,
Wow, man. That is quite
I
the
mean,
pad.
it's a heck of a house. I'll give him credit.
He ended up
for what?
He ended up only paying $25 million for it.
This is not overspending. He's got $2 billion.
Yeah, left $600 million in the bank for him after the taxes, but $25 million. What do you think the upkeep on a place like that?
Well, that's expensive. That's what you don't factor in here. He's got to have somebody clean it.
He's got the old upskirt balcony.
I mean, I bet it's $25,000.
Rockstar's right. They will glass floor there.
I mean, how about the glass floor?
I love it.
Yeah.
I do like having the glass wall that will push out into the pool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good luck right there.
That's a badass house.
Are you talking about like an infinity pool? Or?
No, I'm just talking about the glass wall, and you open it up, and you just walk right out into the pool, so it can be open air. Now, in Bel Air, that works. In Birmingham in the summer, that does not work.
That's a big island.
That is quite an island, yeah.
That is really good.
Finally, New Zealand couple is demanding a refund after they spent a 13-hour flight stuck next to a slobbering, farting, and whiny dog. Jill and Warren Press said their Singapore Airlines flight from Paris, which they forked out extra for premium economy seats, was ruined by the noisy and gassy emotional service pooch. They said they asked to be moved, and the only option was in the back of the plane. They said they had already paid for first class, so they didn't want to do that. Then the dog starts farting, and the guy's like, okay, move me now. The flight attendant promised that they would file an incident report and that the airline would reach out. They said they have not heard anything, and they did not get the experience they paid for.
I would call whatever town you're from, pick a channel number on my side really quick, and I'd want my, deduct the price of a normal coach ticket, but I would want my first class ticket back.
Yeah, at least, just charge me the cheapest.
Yeah,
seat of it. They got a case here.
It's the oldest trick in the book. And Rockstar, you can use this with cord right now, but with the kids that are little or you're walking a dog, if you do pop one out real quick, if you drop a little gas,
blame the kid,
blame the dog.
So you crop dusting and you blame the kid.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
It's the oldest trick in the book.
I smell it too.
Yeah, cord. Let me check that
you gotta
diaper.
Stop that, man.
Let me check that
God,
diaper.
It sounds like it's coming from my ass. Stop.
You're a ventriloquist farter.
A what?
A ventriloquist
You
farter.
You got it.
You tried that.
Hey, slow it down.
Are you a veteran looking for a VA loan? Mortgage Right has been advocating for veterans since their company began. As a veteran-owned, operated company committed to your well-being, they can help you find the best terms available, guide you through every step of the process. Visit the locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply, mortgageright.com/TNR, or call 205-815-9200.
And also by Champy's, right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster, champy'schicken.com. Sterling, the crew, swing by there. Lunch is on the table right now there. Southern Fried Chicken cooked to order. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. Perfect for your tailgating and watching football this weekend. Highway 119 is champy'schicken.com.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
The Next Round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Don't miss your chance to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Open 24/7, so come on in for non-stop gaming action. You'll find the latest, hottest, most exciting games around. And you'll love the fun bonuses and big jackpots. Plus, you can watch and wager on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Birmingham Racecourse Casino off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com. No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails. And don't forget about that 29-degree man-sized drafts. It's Twin Peaks at the Patton Creek Shopping Centers.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our not-for-all-ages podcasts like Bama and Bourbon, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Back with you on the Next Round show, being brought to you in part by our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. 205-542-3531, 205-542-3531. I'll give you that number again in a second, but that's Greg from Pelt City right there, the guy who owns Storm Restoration Roofing. He and his wife own the company. It's been locally owned for over 20 years, A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Insurance companies trust him. You should too. That free no-cost roof inspection, he gets up on the roof, checks and see if you've got loose shingles, anything like that can cause water entry points. You need it checked out. He also does roof repairs after storms, total roof replacement. He does it all. 205-542-3531. Our Greg from Pell City on Storm Restoration Roofing. We mentioned earlier about Aaron Rodgers, the official word. He is out with an Achilles injury, done for the year. They are confident he's going to make a full recovery and play again next season. The question becomes, if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you think he wants to do that?
I think he wants to.
Yeah, I think he wants to, but whether or not he knows how much work this is going to take, and at 39, is it worth it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big decision for Aaron Rodgers.
Can I do it? But I mean, there is no way a competitor the level of Aaron Rodgers wants that to be the lasting image, wants it to be the last thing he does on a football field. I mean, this guy has not put that much effort into his career for the last thing you do on a football field is to sit down on your butt and get helped off and then carted off.
This was the fear of mine every Sunday when Tom Brady was my quarterback. I was fearful that
Try being a Dolphins fan.
Especially the first year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your quarterback is young but brittle.
But yeah,
my guy was old, and we went all in on him, trading away picks and signing free agents to huge contracts that we're going to pay for the next 10 years probably.
Yeah.
We're going to have to deal with playing for that Super Bowl in 2020 for the next 10 years, and really the Jets have done that too.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Rams did it, and it paid off, much like the Bucs. But I still have that fear every single Sunday because Stafford got hurt last year, and it was a disaster of a season. You lose your starting quarterback, season's pretty much over.
Do you know, when you're watching and you see the quarterback about to get hit and he throws and it follows the ball and you barely see the hit, I hold my breath every time until they show Tua again. I mean, that's just me watching a Dolphins game. Now, thank God Sunday he didn't get touched. But every Dolphins game I watch, the minute he gets hit, I hold my breath every time.
Yeah, I'd lean he comes back. But again, Brown, I know it's not obviously what anybody wants, but I was listening to Damian Woody, who had a really good career as an offensive lineman. His last play was one he went down, same injury. He just said it was late in his career, and he just didn't feel like doing the rehab to get back.
Kobe came back from his.
He did, yeah.
Came back from his and went out on his own terms with that big, 50-plus point game, his final game. It'll be interesting to see what Rodgers does. I tweeted that out last night, Ryan. Rodgers is 1-0 as a Jet quarterback, undefeated as a Jet quarterback.
Never lost a game.
He started.
Was McElroy undefeated or was he 1-1?
He won his first one. You're right.
I remember.
Yeah, I think he was 1-1 when it was all said and done. We got one more big thing. Rockstar, give me cut number 4 to sort of wrap the show up here, and we'll tell you what's coming up afterwards in a second. But please note, we have a lot of fun up here with each other. Sometimes it looks like we fight like brothers up here on the set, and this may be a touchy subject, but just 1 week into the NFL season, today, Rockstar, what is this, day 2? And we've wrapped up the first full week of the NFL last night. Day 2, more Dolphin mentions than Ram mentions on the show by one person who at times has criticized LT about bringing up the Rams. Right now, Dolphins leading Rams talk 2-1, in my opinion.
It's pretty close.
Everything all of a sudden is I'm talking Aaron Rodgers, and you bring in the Dolphins situation. You all of a sudden color your Florida Gators logo today in the upset alert in Miami Dolphin colors.
Well, to Brown's defense,
yes.
I think you brought up this is what I worried about every Sunday with Tom Brady.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was kind of a Buccaneers mention.
100%.
And I didn't go to a Taylor Swift concert this summer, so I didn't get to talk about that
Taylor
all summer
Swift,
long.
absolutely.
Dolphins.
So just don't criticize my man Lance for his Ram conversation all the time.
So,
It's just,
sorry, Lance. I apologize. If it's not offended you.
Now let's talk about bullets balls.
They're gone. They are gone. And Dr. Stewart was like, do you want to pick him up today? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick him up tomorrow.
I think that's a good Gator. I think, drawing, I didn't get up here at 2 in to draw mine, but in the breaks, I think I did a pretty good
Brown does the best job.
Thank you.
I was a close second last year. I haven't been as good this year, but I think you got intimidated, Dunaway, and now you get here early to do your draws.
Your VT was the best. Now, if it weren't in the floor right there, you can show it to us.
No, absolutely. I last the 2 years I have not tried. In fact, I picked my upset alert, by the way, much better than I am this year. In the commercial break before,
yes, I know.
And just wrote it down real quick, scribbled it out. I never took time to draw it out. So this year I said, well, I'm going to up my drawing game a little bit.
You've done so.
Yeah. So,
I give you credit on that.
And maybe I have picked my upset alert by logos so far.
What's easier to draw?
Yeah, like
that damn Jaguar is not easy to draw.
I will not go back to Iowa State. I will not draw that twister and the Cardinal again.
I thought that was really good right there. Lance did an excellent South Alabama Jack Jays up.
Yeah, me too. Upset alerts are out, and if you missed it, Florida Gators for Brownie +6.5. LT's got +7 in South Alabama. And if Brown was the nice guy he used to be, he'd get up and hand me my Virginia Tech one. But I got Virginia Tech +6.5 on the road at Rutgers.
You know what? One of the more difficult logos to do, and I did it last year, and I think it was pretty good, was NC State. That wolf has got a lot of detail to it.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
What do you guys think the toughest is, though?
That NC State one's pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the logo. The toughest one I draw...
That Gator's not easy.
It is not easy. A lot of detail in that Gator that you don't see until you really just study it.
Yeah, I did the Fresno Bulldog last year. I remember doing that.
I remember
one.
that was a good one.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
If I go Penn State anytime, I'm just going to draw their helmet.
Just hold up the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Blue stripe.
Blue stripe right there.
Missouri might be. I don't know if anybody could do Missouri spot on.
Oh, what about the Soon Devil? The old Arizona State.
That'd be tough.
The Smiling Devil. That's going to be a tough one right there. You got to go try it on that.
I struggle with Auburn's interlocking A and U. I can't get it to where it looks like the A's in front of the U. They always look like they're on the same level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't get the depth and the dimension that you need. Yes.
Exactly, because the A is actually in front of the U.
That is correct.
Because it's Auburn University, if you don't know. They're not in the same. It's not University of Auburn.
Yes.
Speaking of which, MyBookie gets you in any of the games of these upset alerts. MyBookie.ag. We'll hear from one Auburn Tiger in just a second.
MyBookie.ag code next round. That's the code you use when going to MyBookie.ag. Don't forget, in NFL and college, they've got this cash out system that gives you options to bet and win all season long. So here's how this is going to work. Like if you were taking the Florida Gators plus the 6.5 as the third leg of a parlay, and you hit those first two legs and you're like, oh boy, I tell you what, I don't know if I want to sweat this one out in the swamp like all those jort-wearing fans are going to do. I want to cash this thing out. Well, guess what? Cash out, and you can use that elsewhere at mybookie.ag. Who else is going to let you do that, right? To get started, go to mybookie.ag now. Register for the account. Absolutely free. No charge for that. But when you're ready to make your first deposit, just use promo code NEXTROUND and get that welcome bonus, which is on the house. They give you that welcome bonus on the house right there. That's promo code NEXTROUND. Claim that deposit bonus, and for a limited time right now, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round.
The word asante in Ghana is thank you.
Oh, very informative.
Thank you.
Did not notice that.
Eugene Asante made Auburn fans very thankful last weekend for his play. Here's Eugene Asante on the breakout game and what Auburn has with Samford and then SEC play coming up later this month.
What does that do for the team's confidence moving forward, knowing you can win even in an ugly game?
Yeah, I know there was a lot of things in terms of people were talking about offensively and stuff, but I really think it was a good thing for our defense to be in situations where they're challenged. We had to, we can say that we want to be a really good defense, but we have to be in situations where our back is against the wall and we have to put out the fire. So those types of things really do uplift players. Being in situations where the circumstances aren't necessarily right just puts you in situations, and it just builds that confidence within yourself. So you're like, yeah, I've been in a situation like this before. We've done it before, guys. We can do it. So that's really a morale thing, but I think that was really the biggest thing.
Yeah, big win for him. Big defensive performance from Auburn out there. Ohio State has officially named Kyle McCord the starting quarterback. Competition is over, says Ryan Day today at his news conference. And we're talking about Iowa all year long. They got the win over rival Iowa State. Forrester and Taylor Corn working on this all year long, and it doesn't look much closer. Add a few more points, 20 more points to the Brian Ferentz run for 325, and that gets you all the way out to the 44-yard line on the 325-yard field that he's trying to get to. They're now behind schedule.
Not going to make it.
They're not going to make it. And if you're Western Michigan this week, Iowa needs to – this will be the worst defense they will see moving forward. They need to do whatever they can to run this thing up. Iowa's all about stability. Since 1979, there's only been two coaches, Hayden Fry, Kirk Ferentz. Ferentz takes over in 99. He's only had 3 offensive coordinators and 2 defensive coordinators. So they hate firing people, especially, I'm sure, his son. But, this has been laid out there. This is public. Everybody's talking about it. But after Western Michigan, you go to Penn State, I could see them get shut out.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Penn State's good. You got Michigan State who's up in the air. Wisconsin on the horizon.
Right
Minnesota's
now,
got a good defense.
Right now, you still just need to average 25.6 points a game. So you're not that far behind. And Western Michigan this week is giving up 48 points a game.
But this is the easy part of his schedule, and he hasn't even hit 25 yet.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's weird watching them. Against Utah State, they scored on their first 2 drives. Against Iowa State, they scored on their first 2 drives. Second, third, and fourth quarters, anemic.
Yeah. Most people do not think Kirk Ferentz will fire Brian, that they'll remove him from offensive coordinator, reassign him on the coaching staff, or he'll just retire and not have to fire his son.
I could see that.
Kirk would just walk away. If they try to hold him to this. If they keep winning and they don't end up at 325 points, I don't think they will care.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they can keep winning and not score those kind of points, though.
You usually
That's
can't
the problem.
in football in 2023. All right, coming up is the Burnout at the top of the hour here. That's Peter Burns and Ryan Brown reacting to Week 2, looking ahead to Week 3 of college football, and a lot more. So sit back without even having to change anything. Don't have to change the link or anything. This free look at video from Disrupt the Media. When you're done watching, go follow us, Disrupt the Media, on that YouTube channel. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
All right, it is time for Burnout Week 3 as the SEC starts. A lot more conference play now. Peter Burns, the SEC Network, joins me. I'm Ryan Brown. Welcome in, Burnsy. How are you today?
I'm doing better than Chris Doring was this morning on our show. Like, he was like, had the case of the SEC Mondays, where he was like, we all suck, we're terrible, the Pac-12 is better than us, the ACC better than us, like we were going to have to fold as a conference, like so I talked him off the ledge, but we're doing all right. We're live. Yeah. We're talking college football. It could be worse things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be worse things to do. There's no doubt about that. Of course, the Burnout presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round. When you sign up at MyBookie.ag to get that sign-on bonus, plus get a chip for a limited time to that MyBookie casino right now. They've got the parlay deal. You play a 3-leg parlay. You hit those first 2 legs. You Don't want to sweat out a San Jose State late night game? You cash that thing out and use it again. MyBookie.ag, code next round for that sign-on bonus. MyBookie.ag, code next round. All right, let's start right off the top. Topic number one.
Missouri football. Let's talk about Missouri. I know everybody's it's the big topic. I mean, it's leading Get Up at Sports Center. It's Vanderbilt losing to Wake. Yeah, I mean, we can dive into it. Eastern Kentucky, giving Kentucky a run for their money. I mean, I know the leads.
Yeah, I don't see any of those right there. Can we panic now? We weren't going to panic last week when it was just North Carolina beating South Carolina and LSU didn't look good against Florida State and Florida lost Utah. We weren't going to panic because Alabama, they would save the conference next week. They're going to beat Texas and the world will be right. And Texas A&M, they're going to go down and they're going to beat Miami and everybody will shut up about how the SEC is playing in all these non-conference games. And all of a sudden, none of those things have happened.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, all of a sudden you're at recess and you start getting picked on. You're like, just wait till my big brother gets here. Like you are going to you'll have to deal with my big brother once he gets here. And then Alabama shows up and then Texas just punches them right in the mouth. And I think that was the craziest part about the whole situation, Brownie, was that it felt like Alabama got out-Alabama'd in that game, right? Like it was everything that we've come to understand Nick Saban football to be, which is multiple really good defense in your face, making teams want to quit. That's what Texas did to Alabama in T-Town. I think that's why everybody was so shocked by it. I mean, it's been a decade of underperforming for Texas, and for them to give, Alabama a run for their money last year, where I think it kind of came out of, not nowhere, but I think a lot of fans were like, all right, it's Texas, we're Bama, here it is. But I think, every Alabama fan, Texas had their attention this year, and they're like, all right, we're just going to take it to you. We're going to make your ass quit. And that's rarely the case when I see, against a Nick Saban-led team, especially at home.
So a lot of people point back to 2015. Alabama loses game 3 to Ole Miss, Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss. Alabama turned it over 5 times. It was this weird game, Peter. It was a late night ESPN kick. I think the scheduled kick time was 8:30. And there was a delay, of course, game before it and all that. I don't think it kicked till like 8:45, 9 o'clock. So it went deep into the night. The game lasted forever. Crazy plays. Bama turned it over 5 times. They lost in that game. There were quarterback questions, and Alabama started Cooper Bateman. And he did not perform well, so they go to Jake Coker. You know the rest of the story. Coker takes over, and they wouldn't lose again, and they win a national championship. So there are a lot of Alabama fans that point back to that, but then they also in the same breath say this just does not feel the same. Now, I would suggest maybe that's because this team doesn't have Derrick Henry and that one did, but why would this not feel the same as 2015 for Alabama?
I'm not saying it feels vaguely the same. And I think the difference is I go back and look at every single one of those Alabama losses, and it's crazy. Like Alabama has been so good under Saban. You legitimately can go, remember that loss, like because it cuts through, right? Like it's monumental when you see Alabama lose. But I think when you go back and look at how they've lost in the past, whether it's 2015, I don't know, was that Chad Kelly? Like I don't remember, or Bo Wallace. I can't remember who the quarterback was. It always seemed like there was this like unbelievable quarterback play and quirky stuff that happened, and Manziel just caught the fumble and threw a touchdown. Like all this random stuff happens, but like the reason why 2015 seems a little different than this year is that was just Texas coming out there and forcing their will upon Alabama. Like there was no like, oh, this is just luck, or they got some a lucky tip ball here and there. Like Texas dominated them in pretty much all facets. I mean, was there a facet of the game, Brownie, when you looked at it that you said, if I had to give, if I was scoring in boxing, that I gave the round towards Alabama in any position group? I don't know if there was, including coaching, right? I mean, like that's crazy to me that they were whipped on every single side of that matchup. So that's the only reason why I have a little bit of pause of saying it's 2015. Now, there is the Chicken Little aspect of it, of, oh my God, the dynasty's over and blah, blah, blah. You're going to get that. It's Chicken Little. I mean, Georgia fans feel that because they had a scoreless first quarter against Ball State, right? Like that's just SEC fans being SEC fans. But I think the truth lies somewhere in between. And I don't know about you, but anytime that I see Coach Saban have one of those pressers to where he's calm It's rational. He's not animated. He's not It's almost like he knows exactly what this team is, and they need to be coached up. They need to be loved up, and he's not upset. He just wants them to get better, as opposed to teams where he knew that they were going to whip somebody's ass, and then he gets upset if they don't end up executing correctly.
Yeah, two things. The only place I would have given Alabama an edge there might be on special teams. Unfortunately for Alabama, they had a better punter, and Alabama punted a lot, so you saw that. And I think Reichard's a better kicker than Auburn, but that's really close. I mean, Auburn missed field goal. Yeah. Reichard was spot on. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, but all of that said, Alabama took the lead to the fourth quarter. I mean,
you gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter. Like this was the whole idea about, we heard, what's the famous saying? Make their ass quit.
Yep.
Right? Like, when I look at this and I go, that just didn't happen. And I went back and I started thinking about it. All right, when did we kind of see this kind of, the armor wasn't as shiny on Alabama? And I start going through it. It's like, was it a coordinator change? Was it this? Or was it that? And I start thinking about it. Well, when did Georgia get really good? All of a sudden, Scott Cochran was a part of that staff. And I don't know how much a part of that was the mentality, the fourth quarter program, the toughness, the physicality. But I think when you go back and look at it, the most important recruit that Kirby Smart ever landed was not a player. I think it was the coach and the mentality of Scott Cochran when he took him from Tuscaloosa to Athens.
Yeah, I mean, and there were a lot of people that panicked. I mean, Alabama has lost assistants and coordinators all the time. I mean, and I would say that's kind of what you want, right? You want coaches that other coaches want. That means they've been successful. Or other schools want as their head coach. That means they've been successful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I rarely did I see panic over a departing staff member like I saw over Scott Cochran. And Alabama they've changed their approach in that a couple times after Scott Cochran has left. So you do wonder, is it the same? But I hear all the time how Alabama's got this massive offensive line. They're all over 350 pounds, and it's bigger than an NFL offensive line, but it's not winning. They're not winning their battles. I mean, Middle Tennessee's Middle Tennessee. They didn't win their battle Saturday night against Texas. Texas' defensive line dominated that game.
Crushed them. I mean, and I mean, you go back and look at it. That was the weird part about this whole deal, is because I felt in the past, rarely do you have, and we brought this up the last couple of weeks in the Burnout, is that at SEC Media Days, we heard a lot of Alabama kind of bravado, right? Like J.C. Latham's like, hey, we're going to win the Joe Moore Award, and we're upset, and we're pissed off. We got a chip on our shoulder, and we want to go undefeated. Like, rarely do you hear that out of Alabama. It's very subdued, where like they don't even say anything, right? But this year I kind of stood up and I was like, oh, okay. And then I started looking at what transpired over on Saturday night, where they got whooped by the Longhorns in the lines of scrimmage. And I'm like, was it false bravado? Was it like them trying to convince themselves? Because I never heard that from Alabama. So I don't know. It's things are rotten in the state of Denmark right now. And in Tuscaloosa, that is a weird spot to be. But then what does the rest of the SEC look like, right? I mean, we're talking about this storyline right there. I can't do it on the right here. Can we panic now?
Yep.
Who else looks and seems great right now in this conference? I mean, everybody outside of probably Georgia, who still has maybe kind of small question marks, is a big question mark this year.
Well, and that's the thing about Georgia, and we're about to talk about who you trust nationally, and Georgia would fall into that. If you approach it, which I know from us talking you do, like you're national champion, you're number one until you get beat, then you trust Georgia, right? But if you try to flush everything, if you really legitimately just try to say every season has a life of its own, I'm not going to pay attention to what Georgia's done the last 2 years. You look at what Georgia's done the first 2 weeks, and you're like, I don't know. I mean, they've played two nobodies, and they've been a little sloppy in the first half against those two nobodies.
Yeah, but then they also, I mean, like, and I hear it, and I see it with my own eyes. But I mean, again, the amount of tweets that we were getting in studio when we were doing the first quarter of that game, which was hashtag fire Bobo and what's going on, and bring Todd Monken back and his Kirby, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, you sound exactly like Alabama fans did for the last decade, okay? Like, relax. And then guess what? They put on 31 points, and then it's no longer an issue. So, I think the idea of ripping Georgia and saying they don't look good because, hey, I think they've had vanilla offenses the first couple of weeks is like also complaining about like the gas mileage you get and, and how fuel efficient your Bentley is right now. Like, You're fine. It's still 40-point victories back to back where you're kind of working on who you have. I mean, for them, they have an NFL roster and they have an NFL-like preseason schedule until coming up this week, and they face South Carolina.
All right, the Burnout presented each week by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign up there at MyBookie.ag to get that sign-on bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Also, Roback brings you the show. Great apparel. Burnsy wears it. We wear it. We love Roback. TNR20 at checkout to save 20% on all the Roback gear. The pullovers are so soft. They're fantastic. The golf shirts are great. Great golf gear and hats and pullovers and hoodies and all of that at Roback. Roback.com. I like the quarter zips too. I have a closet full of quarter zips.
They should Roback should sign an NIL deal with Texas A&M right now and says our hoodies are softer than A&M secondary. That should be the tagline, and that should be the NIL deal. Can you imagine? Like Roback just offers every single part of the A&M secondary. If you thought our hoodies were soft, watch this film. I mean, like, let's get creative on name, image, and likeness. Why does it have to be like we want you? Like,
that's right.
Offer them the deal. Why not?
Yeah, Roback.com, code TNR20 at checkout to save 20% on your first order. All right, let's move on. Who do you trust? Let's look at this globally. Let's talk.
Whoa. I know we got to get to that, but like
we don't have to do anything.
Okay, Jalen Milroe, how we feel?
Right.
We good?
Look, here's the thing. Jalen Milroe was starting his third game. It was against Texas, by far and away the best team he has played as a starter, or as a player. You know, he came in relief against Arkansas. He started against Texas A&M. This Texas team, I think they're legitimate. I have no problem. In fact, I'd have them ranked higher than 4. Okay, so he's starting his third game, and so you've got that. He's still an inexperienced starter. He's struggling to read the defenses. That's obvious, and a lot of times in that first half, he was one read and run. But okay, so that's all him. All right, now add to that the fact that his offensive line is not protecting him. He's got pass rushers coming from everywhere. His backs aren't particularly good at protecting their quarterback. So now you're not getting help from your backs stoning the blitzers, right?
Right.
He's got inexperienced wide receivers. He's
in can't get separation.
That's right. He himself is inexperienced. And then you add to all that, he's got a center now that struggles to snap him the football. So it's like you've got all that on your plate, and now I'm nervous every time the snap comes because I don't know if it's going to get to me. Like how many times, when you got a center and quarterback that are in rhythm, you never want the quarterback to take the eye off the snap, but he knows it's going to be right there, right? Like I may not have to keep my eyes on it because I know it's going to hit me where it's supposed to hit me. Well, all of a sudden now, and do you remember us old guys remember a guy named Homer Smith, offensive coordinator. I don't know if you remember Homer Smith.
Yeah, I remember the name.
Yeah, he used to hate his quarterback. He liked his quarterbacks under center because his belief was the defense tips their hand most in about the second half of the play. And if you're in the shotgun, you miss that watching the ball come into your hands. The ball hits your hands, then you look up and you see the defense. So he liked his quarterback being under center so he could get the snap, and as he dropped back, he sees what the defense is doing. I always found that fascinating for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that makes a whole lot of sense. And now I go back and look at it too, is about like the demeanor of Saban every time that they would cut to, the directors, they know after a bad pass or after something, they're going to go on Saban because they're like, give me the Saban cam. Like, is he pissed? He's whatever. I never saw him flustered. And it was almost like, this is kind of what we thought would happen. Like, teams don't believe that Milroe can make the reads or adjustments. And I'm sure Alabama knew that, right, going into it. And it's almost like he's resigned to the fact of like, listen, this is what's going to happen all season long. We got to find ways to get around it at some point. So I'm just kind of curious of how that plays. I know Saban was asked about it. He said, hey, I thought about making a change. But then, of course, Milroe comes out and scores. God rest the souls of South Florida Bulls this weekend who have to deal with the brunt of, hell hath no fury like an Alabama team scorned, like
coming off a loss.
Literally. Oh my God. Like what LSU did to Grambling, it feels like what Bama's about to do to South Florida this week.
All right. Yeah. But we talked about this. So what do you do? Do you get a good look at Buckner and Simpson against South Florida, or do you realize, okay, this could be a get right game to get Jalen's mind back right? Get him some time, where he's not constantly under pressure to try to build some rhythm with these receivers. before you move into conference play. I mean, how do you play that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just I don't know enough about the mental makeup of these quarterbacks, right? Or whoever it is, I don't know. Like we saw when Anthony Richardson struggled at Florida, sometimes mentally he would come out in the post-game press conference and say, "Man, I didn't have it. I let everybody down," and you could tell by his body language. I remember, seeing clips of Jalen Milroe post-game, and he couldn't have been more buttoned up. Answered every question like as cool of a cat as possible. So, I think that's more of like for Alabama to look at and go, "Hey, listen, if we go ahead and give other guys a look, are we going to lose Milroe?" I don't think that's the case. Like from all accounts, Milroe is like a mentally, physically strong guy who just doesn't have the grasp with his offense quite yet, which is, listen, no fault. It's hard to be a quarterback, and especially at that level, especially after what Alabama has done over the last couple of seasons. So I would go give somebody else a look. If for no other reason, then hey, listen, if I hit the 3-wood and I shank it out or I rope hook it, okay, I can't use that club, right? Let's just go back to the driver. Like, let's go back to Jalen Milroe as QB.
Yeah, I will say this. If you want to reference back to 2015, when they played Ole Miss, they started Cooper Bateman, Alabama did, in that game instead of Coker, and they realized in that game, okay, we screwed this up. They go back to Coker. He finishes the season with a national championship. And having talked to Coker, he's part of here now. He does some shows with us, and he was like, that when I went back as the starter, I realized, okay, this is my team. I cannot let them down. They're wholly dependent on me. It's no shot at Cooper Bateman, but it just told him they're not going to pull me again because it didn't work the first time, right? So you never know if you're Milroe, like if Simpson or Lonergan or Buckner or whoever gets a bunch of snaps at South Florida and that doesn't work, then maybe that is him saying, okay, this is my team now. Mm-hmm. They're wholly dependent on me. There is nothing behind me that's going to work. I have to make this work. You just never know. Like you said, it's a mental game. You don't know.
And they'll know it better. The last thing on the Bama deal is that, everybody wants to, laugh at it. And I understand because Bama had been the gold standard up until last year of college football when that now resides in Athens. But like people kind of dancing on the grave of Alabama football is like, I still don't see them losing 2 games this season. I think that they have enough talent to go in at 11-1. Now that may say more about the SEC not being as strong. And the other thing too is like the dynasty and the legend of Nick Saban and Alabama football is not over until people stop caring about beating Alabama. Like nobody cared that Duke beat Clemson, right? Like it was like, oh yeah, man, look at that. Okay, it wasn't celebrated. It wasn't like talked about on the front part of SportsCenter. It was like, all right, Dabo's struggling right now. Like that's the end of a dynasty. Like they were celebrating in Austin, like jumping into the fountains and chanting SEC. Like until it's no longer a big deal to beat Alabama, you're still a dynasty member.
Yeah, and the celebration inside Ryan Day was like they had just won the conference. And I don't blame them. That was a massive win for them. Lance made the point in the show today, and this is crazy to think about. If Sark loses that, if Texas loses that game, I think Sark's overall record at Texas is 15-14. If he loses that game, he's a 500 coach. Now he's still a 500 coach, roughly.
Yeah.
But he's got to win in Tuscaloosa, and it just changes the whole outlook now, right?
Well, ask Jimbo Fisher that, right? Yep. If Jimbo doesn't go and beat Alabama a couple of years ago, what ends up happening? Yeah. I don't know. And of course, being 500 in college football is good. You might get you a contract extension if you ask Jimbo. Like that worked out pretty well for Jimbo Fisher on that deal.
He's fine either way. Don't forget Alabama, about a 31-point favorite to open up down at South Florida. Lance'sLock.com has all those plays every single weekend of college football. In fact, throughout the week. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, all the Saturday and Sunday games right there at Lance'sLock.com. They've got daily packages, weekly packages, monthly packages, full season packages, and it is well worth your time. Lance'sLock.com, another winning football weekend he's coming off of, and he'll give you another one next weekend at Lance'sLock.com. All right, so who do you trust? We just talked about Alabama. It may still be Alabama. So when you look in the top 10 and you see Georgia and Michigan and Texas and Florida State and Ohio State and Alabama is still there, who do you trust? Who do you trust, Ashley?
I still, obviously, because of the way the defense has looked, and yes, Carson Beck has not looked great world beater wise, but they didn't ask him to be a world beater yet. I still trust Georgia as the heavy favorite right now in the SEC. The thing is, I really haven't seen Ohio State been pressed anybody. Michigan hasn't played, anybody really. Texas and Florida State, I mean, have given us by far the two best performances, and they earned that. That wasn't fluke wins. That was beating an SEC team's ass. And so I trust them at that point. You can only go with what your eyes have told you. The problem is, even with Ole Miss beating Tulane, you know, when you're down 17-7, and I know Lane's called Tulane an SEC team, right? I mean, technically they were back in the day.
Yes, I mean, for Lane's great grandparents, they were. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, still that doesn't feel like there was enough of kind of angst early in that game when they were down 17-7. I mean, they poured it on. Finished the game, outscoring them 30-3. But that didn't feel like there was enough issues there where I still like Alabama over Ole Miss coming up in a couple of weeks. And I saw Tennessee kind of play with their food against Austin Peay. Like the downfield passing attack for Joe Milton and the Vols just hasn't connected quite yet. So I don't trust anybody right now, right? I mean, it's like one of these murder mystery theater dinners that you go and you're like, I have no freaking clue here in the first 45 minutes, like who did it? Like no clue.
And see, that's the thing. Like if you're one of these fan bases, if you're an LSU fan or you're an Alabama fan and you're like, oh my gosh, we've already lost a game. We're not even through week 2. I thought we were going to contend for the national championship. And you start scanning the landscape and you're like, yeah, a lot of people got warts now, man. I mean, this is far from a issue. And here's what I think it is. Alabama has lost. Clemson has lost. They're out of the top 25. Ohio State has looked really, really human, especially the quarterback spot. I mean, those are 3 teams. Georgia is also in this mix, but they're winning. Those are 3 teams over the last 5, 6, 7 years you could absolutely depend on. Right. They've all, you know, either lost or looked really, really shaky in wins. So the natural thing now is to start saying, I really don't know who I can trust. I guess I can still trust Georgia. They're there. Maybe Michigan has earned my trust, though those 2 teams have not really been tested yet. But I'm not even sure if I can still trust Texas or Florida State or Washington or USC or any of those teams.
Well, you know what it sounds like? It almost sounds like how we've looked at the NFL over the last 20 years, right? Like Roger Goodell and the way that free agency works and the salary cap has built the league whose biggest feature is everybody's got a chance. Any given Sunday, anything can happen, right? And a lot of that has to do with players swapping places, right? Free agency. We've got that in college football now between name, image, likeness, and the transfer portal. So I wonder how much of that is, hey, listen, do you want to be a third stringer over at Alabama and wait your turn? Or do you want to come play immediately at Duke? Or do you want to come play immediately here where we have a need? Like I think part of that, and I don't think it's a lot, but I think that, you know, if all of a sudden 10 to 12% of your roster filters down to other places, that's going to hurt you. And I don't know. I think that's early returns to figure out if that's what the issue is right now. But it seems to be affecting everybody right now outside of Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it is. But, I mean, it is just so interesting when you watch these games and watch massive contributors like Adonai Mitchell for Texas. I mean, the former Georgia receiver who's owned Alabama at times. There he is having another big game against Alabama. And you're like, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, that kid, he's sitting out this year, right? He's not even eligible for them.
Yeah. And he can play. I mean, you know, Bear Alexander was on the defensive line. I mean, he practically almost was a starter on that D line last year, and now he goes to USC and he plays extremely well. So again, I think some of that player movement goes on. Now, as far as the trust and can we panic, I want to last thing on this, like what's happening at A&M is borderline unacceptable, Brownie, and I just can't. And I mean, I guess it's my fault for thinking it's going to be different. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I keep telling my kid that, hey, I think today's the day he's going to be potty trained and he's going to poop on the potty, and then he continues to just poop in his diaper. Like, that's on me for actually believing that things have changed. And, I mean, you got all the facilities, you got all the recruits, you've got the NIL laws, you've got the recruiting rankings, like all of it. You got your new offensive coordinator, you got a great stadium, all of it, and yet we're still at square one. Like, is A&M any better under Jimbo Fisher than they were with Kevin Sumlin? I don't know if I can answer that question in yet 6 years down the road.
Yeah, the record says they're not. I mean, I think if you look at their record at this point in each tenure, I think Sumlin is still tracking in front of him. And I mean, the record just says no, that it is not a better situation now than it was under Kevin Sumlin. And I mean, it's trending down. I don't know what to make of that game Saturday at Miami. I know they were completely outclassed, especially in the second half. I think the number is Miami closed that game on like a 41-16 run or something like that, and that doesn't even compute.
Yeah, I mean, it was the secondary was atrocious. I mean, I thought Connor Wegman was okay, but there was just no explosive plays. And again, like from, you know, and it just, it's not so necessarily it's Miami, but in the fact of it's kind of like a 65% full stadium. It's Cristobal like getting guys in and then punking you. Like I don't get it whatsoever. And again, we keep going back to it, but had you been in a different situation, the contract extension for Jimbo Fisher continues to be one of the most puzzling decisions that has been made throughout college football outside of the Mel Tucker, contract, which is a whole different ball of wax of like, why did you put yourself in this position? And yet, I mean, that's what you're going to have to deal with. And for the near future, at least.
Weren't they both LSU related? I know Jimbo, he leveraged the LSU opening to get his deal or the fear of an LSU opening. And I think Mel Tucker pretty much did the same thing, right? Is that like, hey, look, if Ed Orgeron is fired, I've coached there before. I've got the obvious. I'm the obvious guy. So I think LSU's opening.
Jimmy Sexton is undefeated. I mean, like there's lawyers and there's Jimmy Sexton. And those are the only two people that have never probably lost anything in their whole life. Those two.
There's no doubt. I mean, this whole Texas A&M thing is wild, though. And you're right. It's like, it's going to be difficult for me to put this in words, but when you watch a Miami game, and I am a Miami Dolphins fan, obviously, right? They're playing in my team stadium, but that's a pro team. And I watch a Miami game, and Miami's band is like this 100-piece band, and they're spread out in the individual seats, and it just doesn't. It looks like it just looks like so low rent. And then they show the stands, and they're maybe 60% full for an SEC team. They had buy one, get one tickets to get into that game. You bought that ticket. You got a ticket for like the Georgia Tech game later this year. It's like you're losing to a low-rent program, and maybe Cristobal is building them back up. But it's the restaurant that used to be the best restaurant in town, and now it's just all run down, and it gets a bad health rating. And that's who you're losing to. And I'm like, we're the high-end restaurant. We're the steakhouse, man. We're the ones that we've built the new steakhouse. We serve with the finest silver. We've got the best tablecloths and napkins. We should be the dominant restaurant, and we just lost to an almost out of business Denny's. I mean, what's going on?
A Shoney's, like Shoney's, they're still around in the South. So I mean, I started doing the math, and I'm like, if the contract extension didn't happen in College Station, right, this would be like year 6 or 7 under Jimbo at $7.5 million a year, because that's basically what it was. Like you're looking at like a high 20s, $30 million buyout if you decided to go that route. I'm not saying that they need to fire him. I'm just saying it would have been a feasible option at that point. Now you're looking at it that, for no apparent reason, that you put yourself in a situation where you would owe like $75 million or $80 million if you try to get out of that contract. So, and how much onus does that put on Jimbo Fisher? If I know, hey man, doesn't matter what you do, I'm gonna get my bag, I'm gonna get paid. Like, is there onus? I think there is, because he's a competitive guy. But at a certain point, like things that look like they're gonna make sense on paper, i.e., Scott Frost at Nebraska, just don't plan out.
Well, and the weird thing is, it looks like maybe they hit all the Wegman, wasn't fantastic. It didn't travel as well as it was at Kyle Field against New Mexico. Mm-hmm. But when it looks like they've got their offense straightened out a little bit, and they finally have found some rhythm with Bobby Petrino there, now all of a sudden is the defense falling apart? I mean, it kind of takes us back to, topic number one, can we panic now? If I am a fan of Texas A&M, am I panicked about DJ Durkin's defense? Because they got completely worked by Miami.
Yeah. I just don't think A&M fans feel panic any longer. They're resigned. If that makes any sense to me. I think A&M fans sit there and just go, I'm almost apathetic to what is happening. Like Bama fans are pissed today. Even Georgia fans, even though they're undefeated, they're upset because they don't think the offense is good. LSU fans were upset about what happened against FSU. I think A&M fans, it's almost like I just got to walk away. I just got I need a sports walk right now because it's tough.
Once apathy sets in, it's all over with. MyBookie.ag brings you the Burnout. MyBookie.ag code next round when you sign up to get that sign-on bonus. Also, that for a limited time, a casino chip there in the MyBookie Casino next round gets you all of that. You can use it, and if you win, it is yours and yours forever. Just bet it one time, that sign-on bonus, and it becomes yours forever. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. That is MyBookie.ag, code next round. All right, as we look ahead, it is not a great week of college football. I mean, it is hard to find the nuggets in this week of college football. But one that I find really interesting is Florida playing host to Tennessee. And growing up, when I was a teenager, this was the most meaningful SEC game for a very, very long time. It became Alabama LSU. But before Alabama LSU, for all you youngs out there, Florida Tennessee was it. And this was such a critical game that you couldn't lose to get back in the national championship. And they used to play it like week 3 every year. And the loser would just be done with their national championship pursuit. Well, here we go. It is week 3 again. It is not quite do or die, but Tennessee is at Florida, 6 o'clock ESPN. This feels like a massive moment for Billy Napier. You had a rough year one. You have a rough opener against Utah. If you lose to Tennessee, it could snowball on you for Napier. Maybe not cost him his job, but he's going to hear a lot about it. But if you could get this win, this is a top 15 win. You're beating a rival, and maybe it feels like the worms turned a little bit for him.
And more importantly, it's a situation where Tennessee, I don't think, has won in Gainesville in 20 years. I think
it's twice since 1970. I think it's twice since 1970. Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. They've met every single year since 1990. Tennessee won 38-33 last season for just the second win in the past 18 meetings, but they're looking for its first win since 2003 in Gainesville. Right? I mean, that's crazy. And that's one of those deals where if you're a Florida fan, you're right. There's a lot of opportunity. I don't even want to call it pressure, but there's more of an opportunity for Billy Napier to be like, listen, I know things aren't great. Hang tight. The Cavalry's coming. We got good recruiting classes. And guess what? Death taxes in Tennessee still doesn't beat us here in the swamp, right? But you lose that game, and even worse, if all of a sudden, which I think could potentially happen, if Tennessee comes in there and it's a 34-14 type game, and the offense looks stagnant, and they run the ball really well, which I think Tennessee can actually do. I think Tennessee is more of a rushing team than they are a throwing team this year. Then, buddy, that's tough to swallow if you're leaving the swamp and it ends up being a double-digit victory. I was kind of surprised. I mean, I'm sure my bookie has it, but what do you think the line of that game was, if you already haven't looked at it?
I saw, it's kind of weird. I saw, like, Circa Sports is one of the first point spreads I see. They had it at 4. It opened at Tennessee favored 4. I checked earlier. MyBookie.ag, I think, has it at 7 right now. Lance told me he thought he had seen it as high as 9.5. So it seems like it's all over the board. But MyBookie.ag had it at 7. So Tennessee, a touchdown favorite going in there.
Yeah, and I mean, my first knee-jerk reaction was that I thought the line would come in at like 10.5, maybe even more for Tennessee. And it depends. I haven't seen any of the injuries and injury kind of reports or, over the last couple of hours or so. But, I mean, this is a monster thing. I mean, Tennessee looks different. Tennessee, the passing attack, it's not, I don't think, necessarily Milton as far as him being, inaccurate, because, the arm strength is already there. But it's just like they're not putting him in a position the same way that they trusted Hendon Hooker to be in that position. Now, how much are you going to show against Austin Peay? I have no idea. But I still think that Tennessee wins that game by I think 2 touchdowns, frankly.
Ooh, that's a tough night for Billy. Napier's big night is what it says right. That is a tough night for Billy Napier if that happens. But, it's kind of – they're the reverse of Texas. So Texas week 1 plays Rice, and everybody's like, ooh, did you see Texas against Rice? Mm-hmm. I mean, they couldn't do anything. And then you watch Texas at Alabama, and you're like, yeah. Sark was thinking ahead there. He was showing nothing against Rice. Yeah. And Tennessee, against Virginia, I watched it and I'm like, okay, all right. They're not going to miss a ton without Hendon Hooker. It is, like you said, it's maybe a little different offense, but they still had some pop against Virginia. And then, as you said earlier, against Austin Peay, they did not look good. They only won that game by 17. They only scored 30 points on Austin Peay. And you wonder how much of that was Josh Heupel saying, all right, we're going to just go out there. We're not going to get anybody hurt. We're going to go through the motions. We're going to get past this game. We know what we've got.
I think it's a vanilla play call. I also think, too, I mean, like, I know, like, I wasn't enthused to watch Tennessee Austin P. Like, I'm as a fan,
man.
and I love college football, right? And so I sit there and I go, how much, if you're a Tennessee fan, are you like, God, I cannot wait to play against Tennessee? I like, does it have the same amount of your interest? And I know that's, listen, all football players are going to be locked in. You have to be, right? Like, you're competitive, but I still don't think you're on razor's edge the way they will be coming up this weekend against Florida. And I just want to see it. I would love to see what that crowd looks like when they do the Tom Petty thing at the start of the fourth quarter, right? Are there going to be empty seats, or is this place going to be rocking? Because like you said, as teenagers and kids growing up, man, this freaking rivalry was every bit as good as Bama, LSU, or Georgia, Florida, any of this stuff.
Yeah, I think I remember it. I couldn't remember this wrong, but I think you're going to crack up at this. This was the first game, not the first game I ever watched at 4K, I don't think. Or high def, not 4K, but high def. But I remember I was in a store somewhere, and they were playing. I don't know why I wasn't home. I'm trying to remember why I wasn't at home watching this on my standard definition TV. But this game was on, and it was a CBS primetime game. And it was in high def and it was the first. I was like, "Wow, that looks amazing!" And it was just I felt like I was at the game. And I remember CBS had it prime time. I'm like, okay, so CBS could show games at night. Interesting. Yeah. All right, that's a cool development. We'll get some SEC night games.
It made me throw up in my mouth last week when I heard CBS using the CBS college football intro. Dun, 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 and it was like Rutgers versus Illinois. And I was like,
oh, yes. Let's have some respect for that great song. I mean, it is a great song. Let's don't water it down with Rutgers and Northwestern, please.
I talked to ESPN execs a while back, and I was like, can we offer a trade? Like literally, like what can we do? But listen, it was CBS. I'm Pavlovian when it comes to that song, and it sucks that it's going to be a part of the Big Ten now.
I agree, because it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I did think it was interesting near the Bama-Texas game how much of a new era in SEC football starts next year. I mean, that was a heavy promo at the early part of that game for the ESPN SEC merger heading forward. Yeah.
I joked around about it on Twitter, just trying to have a little bit of fun because nobody understands sarcasm on Twitter. I go,
they don't.
Listen, like we all understand that Bama let Texas win that game, right? Like fully, follow the money, people. This was about Alabama letting Texas win, so they get more television revenue next year because Alabama can still make the college football playoff and be in the SEC championship game if they win out. This was Saban helping out Sark and all this stuff, and it's amazing how many people got in my Twitter mentions going, you really think that happened? I was like, oh, dear Lord. Like, this is the greatest IQ test of all time.
So I've heard people, because I'm with you. Sarcasm is my love language. So, I try to use it on Twitter, and people just don't get it. People are like, you need a sarcasm font. And I'm like, And I'm like, no. I want to reward people that understand it. I don't want to dumb it down.
No, I was like, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No, it absolutely wasn't. What's up, the Germans? I was like, oh, Lord. Okay.
All right. Yes. Watch a movie every now and then. The Burnout presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you go to MyBookie.ag. Get that sign-on bonus, and for a limited time, a chip for the MyBookie casino. MyBookie.ag. Code next round. MyBookie.ag. Code next round. All right, let's wrap it up with talking about the SEC West, which seems about as wide open as ever. I thought about us doing a power ranking. That's going to get too convoluted and complicated. So let's just run through it and just get a quick thought on where you think these teams are heading. We've talked a lot about Alabama. I think we've got to fill there. Let's do this alphabetically. Auburn, they're 2-0, but that was about as ugly a win as you're going to get. The win at Cal.
Yeah, it was literally survive in advance. It was, when you don't have your golf game and you're just trying to break 80, you're like, okay, I got it underneath 80. That was all it is, and that's why I expect there's going to be a lot of growing pains. But I will tell you this: I think it was a really important win to have one of those like ugly, grinded out. I don't know how the hell we won those games.
Right.
Moments when it's on a road trip, right? Yeah. If it happens at home, I don't think you get the same thing. But like when you're exhausted, it's 4 a.m. You're looking at each other like, holy hell! It's like getting caught in a shootout, and somehow you're like, how did we survive that, right? And like and like in the movies, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe that. And it's like a bonding experience. So I still think that Auburn ultimately might end up being the worst team in the SEC West. But I still think that obviously we just showed that, they're still pretty good. It's just I think the rest of the SEC West is a little bit ahead of them right now.
I said alphabetically. I'm showing off my Jacksonville State education because I jumped Auburn in front of Arkansas. So let's talk Arkansas. They get a big challenge. They get a big challenge against BYU. Well, I say a big challenge against BYU. BYU has been they struggled a little bit against Sam Houston State. They played Southern Utah, which I don't know what you learned from that. We haven't seen Arkansas get challenged yet. Yeah. This is a really interesting game, head-to-head with that Florida-Tennessee game, 6:30 ESPN2. I do think we'll know more about Arkansas after this one because BYU, it's kind of a brand. It's Kalani Sitake likes to play a physical style of football. This was a good game last year. We'll learn Arkansas this week. I think we'll know a little bit about Sam Pittman's group.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think we'll see Rocket Sanders again. This will be 2 weeks in a row that he's gone, not going to be available to play. And that's the troubling aspect of it. And so it feels like it needs to be a KJ Jefferson takeover game, which he's fully aware or fully capable of doing. But again, I can't look at Arkansas in the same light as an Alabama or even an LSU right now until I see Rocket Sanders, be 100% healthy. Not just play, but I'm talking about be the difference maker because I think he's him and KJ are the most dynamic duo in college football when they're healthy.
All right, let's talk about the Mississippis. We'll start with Ole Miss. You referenced that game earlier. That final score, it was a crazy end-of-game sequence for them. Mm-hmm. That covers up that was a really tight game at Tulane. Now, our Ole Miss fans will say, wait a minute, that was a top 25 Tulane team. It was also a Tulane team starting their backup quarterback.
Right.
And Ole Miss struggled to run the football, which drives Lane Kiffin crazy because he's one of the best run game coaches in America.
Yeah, and that was the issue. When they started leaning on him a little bit late, you felt like, okay, this is more of an SEC roster wearing down Tulane. But again, the fact that they couldn't do it right off the bat, and I think a lot of it has to do with Trey Harris. Trey Harris has become their Laquan Treadwell, right? Their AJ Brown, their dude. And when he had that early touchdown pass, but then got injured, he didn't return because I think it was cautionary. He's kind of the engine that makes Quinshawn and the rest of that rushing attack go. They struggled until they could find somebody else. So. I still think that they're in pretty good shape. And Jackson Dart showed to me so much damn moxie in that game. 4th and 4, they needed a play, and he kept answering the bell. So I've been really impressed for how he's progressed since spring, honestly.
It was on your network. You were in studio there. State playing Arizona.
Weird game.
Yeah, it was a very strange game because you get the win in overtime. They never could put away Arizona and Jaden DeLara, the Arizona quarterback, who's a really talented player. But I tell you what worries me about if I'm a State fan, you're +5 in turnovers and still have to go overtime to win that game. I know it's a win, and I'm going to celebrate a win anytime. But then I look at it and I'm like, boy, if we're +5 in turnovers against Arizona, we really don't need to be in overtime.
Yeah, and I think they're still trying to find out their identity with Barbe's offense, right? I mean, you see Will Rodgers, would only attempted, I think, 17 or 18 passes. So I don't still think they have the personnel to fully go to the offense that they want to right now. So it's almost like a transition year. But again, I like Zach Arnett, man. I don't know if you heard him, dropping the F-bomb.
Oh, I did. Yes.
Right afterwards. Yes. And he just, you pull for guys in sports, and I don't have any vested interest in State or vested interest in Zach Arnett as a person. I don't really know him and his background, coming from New Mexico. But I look at him and I'm like, okay, I like this guy because it feels like one of us gets an opportunity to be a head coach, and he's going after it. So
he's the everyman, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, really, really interesting game for State and LSU. It's LSU's first. They play Grambling. You're not going to learn a ton from that. It's really their first big test since Florida State. That's an 11 o'clock ESPN game, straight out of game day. So I think obviously, you're going to learn a lot about both teams in that one. Early matchup at the Southeastern Conference, but I think a fascinating one there in Starkville.
Yeah, I think it helps LSU that it's a 11 a.m. kickoff as opposed to, a mid-afternoon or a night game. I mean, just, listen, the cowbells will ring, but it's just something different over Davis Wade over at night. I like this kid, Logan Diggs, the running back that, for that LSU. He showed some glimpses. He wasn't available in week 1. Mason Smith back. I think that the Harold Perkins turning him into a linebacker experiment is all but done. And so think now, I'm hoping. Yeah. But I think for the second straight week, they're like, let's just see what we have here. And at some point, you got to let the Ferrari fly. And I think that's going to be a big change that we'll see coming up for LSU's defense.
If I were holding your family hostage and you had to correctly predict either the eventual West winner or the team that finished last in the West to release your family from bondage, which one do you think you would go with right now? Do you think you'd try to pick the winner or the team that finished dead last?
I would probably pick the team that would finish dead last. And I'm going to say that's Auburn. And no offense to Auburn, but I just think that I just don't see Peyton Thorne being that dude. And then outside of what's the kid? Eugene Asante.
Asante. He played an amazing game, didn't he?
Yeah, I just don't think they have those playmakers that I think that they'll struggle. But I'm still pretty confident that Alabama wins the West. I mean, they look the part in a bunch of different ways that, frankly, I didn't see from LSU even against Florida State. So, and then A&M is just who the hell knows? A&M is A&M.
All right, mybookie.ag code next round brings you the Burnout. Mybookie.ag code next round. Get that sign-on bonus when you sign up. Also for a limited time, a chip you could use in the MyBookie casino. Make sure you use code next round, though. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag code next round. Also, lanceslock.com for all the plays coming off another winning weekend in football. He'll continue that with Monday night games, Thursday night games, all the weekend football. Daily, weekly, monthly, season-long packages right now at lanceslog.com, and also thank you to roback.com. TNR20 for 20% off your initial order there at roback.com. All right, Burns, you have another good week of football. We'll see you next Monday.
See you, buddy.